But easily filing your taxes with TurboTax and Credit Karma doesn't hurt either. And getting your max refund guarantee definitely doesn't hurt. But let others think you did a lot of hard work to file your taxes when in reality, it was a walk in the park. No, you literally filed while walking your dog in the park. Winner! Because some key info is pre-filled for you so you can file quickly and confidently like the boss that you are. So give yourself the peace of mind that comes with getting expert help because you're going places. Let's go! And make tax season feel like it's award season with easy filing. Yeah! Know that you're backed by the leading tax preparer, TurboTax, and we'll show you all your filing options up front so there are no surprises. Feel accomplished and confident that your taxes are done right. File an Intuit Credit Karma today. Yeah. Expert help not available with all products. Guarantee details available at turbotax.com/guarantees.
At Target, count on our great deals just in time for Easter. Save $5 when you spend $30 on toys with Target Circle, so you can fill their baskets with fun, like cuddly stuffed animals or 50-piece sidewalk chalk, all from only $5. Add an Easter chocolate faves at BOGO 50% off, from Cadbury to Reese's Mini Eggs and more. And get great family picks with new Easter looks. It's easy with 20% off dresses, polos, and more. Hop in fast for our best Easter deals, only at Target. Restrictions apply.
If you were hurt in a crash, it's important to act fast. Instead of haggling with insurance, just call Thomas J. Henry. Remember, the call is free and you don't pay us any fees unless we win your case. Contact Thomas J. Henry today, San Antonio, Texas.
Shop simple. It doesn't get any easier. You're looking for a new Ford. You don't have time to spend hours at the dealership. So Truck City Ford in Buda has made it simple. Go online. Pick yours at truckcityford.com. We can bring it to you for a home test drive. Once you determine it's perfect, you can arrange financing, value your trade, and sign all your paperwork digitally. Then simply tell us where and when you want to take delivery. Leif Johnson's Truck City Ford in Buda has made buying a new Ford simple.
In this week's Marketers Report, Angela Zepeda, CMO Hyundai Motor America, talks about audio storytelling.
People scratch their heads and say, why would you put your brand on a channel that doesn't show the sheet metal? But for us, it's about storytelling. That's driving a lot of brand awareness, but we can also drive a lot of intent.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the influencers, audiences, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
Life's a constant swirl of shopping. Groceries, clothes, gifts, the occasional self-care splurge. You know how it is. That's why you should get the Drop app. With Drop, you earn points for shopping and turn those points into gift cards. Last year, I scored $150 in gift cards alone. Make sure to use code DROP23 when you sign up and get $5 in Drop points. That's DROP23. Get rewarded for shopping and download Drop now for free on the App Store or Google Play.
It's spring. Time to gather your friends and family and fire up the grill with some Kingsford charcoal. Because everything tastes better cooked on the grill. Whether it's a casual get-together or a special occasion, Kingsford Original will give your food that authentic, wood-fired barbecue flavor everyone craves.
Ooh, wow, so good.
Because it's not spring until you've thrown some burgers on the grill with Kingsford Original Charcoal, America's grilling expert. Kingsford.com.
Last season on the Choosing Sides F1 podcast, we established unequivocally that F1 is the pinnacle of motorsports.
We did, but honestly, I was left with more questions than answers, Tony.
I'm Tony Karen Brown, a tech, culture, and F1 commentator.
And I'm Michael Costa, comedian from The Daily Show.
Join us for season 2 of Choosing Sides F1 and get all of the answers.
All of them?
All of them.
Listen to Choosing Sides F1 on the iHeartRadio app,
or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Hard Knocks Life Show, weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone. It's the Craig Way Show with the voice of the Texas Longhorns and Hall of Fame broadcaster, Craig Way.
Spring football is underway on the 40 acres, about 5 practices in, another one tomorrow on Friday. getting closer and closer to that orange-white scrimmage on April 20th. And coming along to talk to us about what's happening on the practice fields is my good friend CJ Vogel from On Texas Football. You can find him on Twitter at CJ_Vogel_OTF. He is a college football insider and recruiting analyst covering the Longhorns. CJ, how you been, my man?
I'm good. Football is back. There's not much more to be, waiting on. So this is a good time of the year.
Yeah, exactly right. 5 practices deep. Just want to ask you, what has stood out to you the most so far?
Yeah, it's just you go and watch these practices, and the big takeaway I've had through 5 so far is there's a lot of talent on this team, and there's a lot of depth across the field at a number of positions. Positions in which Texas lost a lot of pieces a year ago. Wide receiver, you look over and you have 5 guys right now that you can expect to see on the field. The offensive line is stacked with NFL potential players. The running back room could compete with just about anybody in the country. And again, you move over to that secondary, which was probably your Achilles heel a year ago, and you look at the additions of Andrew Makuba, the 5-star Xavier Filsaime coming in, the return of Derek Williams, and now Jelani McDonald full-time in that room. There's a number of guys that you could look at across the board and just say, yeah, if for whatever reason, if they're asked to be on the field, you would feel comfortable with them playing in the SEC. And I think that's been a big change from this year, from what we've seen in so far this spring to in years past under Sarkisian.
You mentioned Andrew Makuba, Matthew Golden, just a few players Texas added out of the transfer portal this offseason. Out of those guys, including Isaiah Bond and a few others, I know Borden's not coming to campus until I think summer, fall, but out of the transfer portal guys, what have you seen from them so far?
Oh, I'll start with the wide receivers and add in Amari Niblack, because I really like what I see from Isaiah Bond. I think he'll end up being that number 1 target for Quinn Ewers this year. You just can't knock the speed that he has. He's a 10.5, 100-meter guy. Had a heck of a season last year for Alabama, over 650 receiving yards, number of big plays that helped Alabama recover from that loss against Texas and still make the college football playoff. So he's going to be someone I think has a massive role for this Texas offense. The other is Matthew Golden. And, of course, at Houston, he kind of had a smaller role in that offense. Didn't necessarily have the largest volume share of targets, but you just watch him in routes. And, Quinn Ewers said yesterday in his media availability, he just has soft hands, and he catches the front half of the football. He looks very smooth in everything he does. On the defensive side of the ball, it's Trey Moore for me that really stands out. Of course, Makuba coming in from Clemson has 3 years starting experience, should be a big contributor back there. But Trey Moore, you just watch him get off the ball, kind of that burst off the line of scrimmage and into the backfield. It just feels natural. And for a guy who's not super intimidating from a physical stature, you watch him undergo drills and think, yeah, he absolutely has a shot to be a big-time player for the Longhorns next year.
You mentioned Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond at the receiver position. I know Jonte Cook obviously going to have a big year, but another name that I'm kind of seeing sneakily get first-team reps is DeAndre Moore Jr., who's going to be a sophomore this year.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a guy who did not have a catch his freshman year, and I think that's kind of what's been driving him this offseason and into the spring is, for a guy that came all the way from California to Texas, there's a lot of anticipation in what he can do away from home. He's got a lot of friends back home, family members, sitting around thinking, all right, when is it going to be your turn? Because I'm sure there's a number of schools on the West Coast that would love to have him in their program right now and probably have a larger impact. But this is a guy who's shown up to practice, the first position guy to the field, the first 3 practices that we were able to see. He understands what it takes to get on the field and do it the right way. And so I think he's being rewarded as a result of that by getting those first-team slot reps for the Texas offense. And, he's a very smooth route runner, has good hands. The question is, will he be able to hold off a guy like Matthew Golden and eventually a Silas Bolden when he arrives in the summer?
Let's talk quarterback, starting off with QB1 Quinn Ewers. How has Quinn so far looked in this spring practices so far, CJ? And can Quinn take another jump, another leap after doing so last year?
Yeah, I think so. And yesterday, whenever he spoke with the media, I really got the sense that this is going to be the most confident Quinn Ewers that we've seen. He talked about how the game is slowing down, how the third year in the Sarkisian system is really going to help him, digest what he's looking at on the field. And you talk to him just a little bit, and you just get that idea that everything's slowing down for him. And I think that's encouraging for a quarterback going into a new conference, which is expected to have a little bit higher of a level of competition when you consider those SEC defenses and whatnot. But Quinn so far in practice has looked great. He had a fantastic pro day for the guys that were participating in front of NFL scouts. He's carried that onto the field. He looks comfortable. He looks confident, and he's added to his frame, which I think it was a big question mark for a lot of folks coming into this spring.
How has the development of Arch Manning looked so far?
Arch still has that moxie with him, and it's very interesting watching Quinn and Arch go side by side with one another. They're kind of two different personalities on the field, which is very interesting. But when you watch Arch throw the football, everything is so technically sound. It's amazing to remind yourself that he's only a true sophomore. He looks like a guy who's been in the NFL for a few years by the way you watch him take his snap, do his drop back, and deliver the football. He's had good days. I'm really interested, again, to see how often he'll be on the field. Last year, Texas didn't necessarily blow out a lot of teams they should have. You didn't see a lot of Malik Murphy. As a result, you didn't see a lot of Arch Manning. So this year, when Texas is up big on some opponents that they should be able to handle, I'm really eager to see just what kind of performance you can get from him. Because that Texas Tech game last year, when you saw him in those two possessions, I think he wowed some people.
Yeah, he sure did, especially with how loud DKR was having to tell the crowd to be quiet. You don't really see that at home often. You mentioned Amari Niblack from Alabama, the transfer tight end from the Crimson Tide. Gunnar Helms getting first-team reps at the tight end spot. But a name that everyone seems to be talking about, CJ, is Juan Davis.
Yeah, a guy that's really been around this program for a pretty long time. He's been here since Sark has arrived. A really interesting skill set. He has really, really reliable hands, and he has a good athlete. He was a guy that was a quarterback in high school at Everman in Fort Worth, transition to tight end. And you know how that transition goes at the next level when you move a guy who did not ever participate really in the trenches to now having a hand in the dirt right next to 280 or 300-pound guys looking to knock you off your block. Davis, again, he's running second team right now, right behind Gunnar Helm, trying to fight off Amari Niblack, the newcomer from Alabama, for those next snaps. And what's interesting is I think his skill set complements what you have right now with Gunnar Helm. Juan Davis, again, a much better athlete, a guy that you can extend the field vertically with while getting enough blocking on the interior to spring runs free. So Texas at that tight end spot, I would say, is three deep with guys that you can feel comfortable with at the moment.
You mentioned blocking. It's going to be a big part of this season for the Longhorns in the SEC against some big boys on the defensive line. And we've seen Sark so far and Kyle Flood kind of mix up the offensive line unit. I heard reports yesterday that Nato Umeozulu was getting first-team reps. Cam Williams also hearing about Hayden Connor at center. There's still Cole Hudson. But I think, all in all, CJ, this speaks to the depth that Texas has in the trenches, which I don't think they've had in quite some time.
No, this is absolutely going to be the deepest Texas offensive line we've seen in well over 15 years. You go back to those 2008, 2009 teams. The last time Texas competed for a national championship, and that will be your next best offensive line. You return 4 out of 5 starters from a year ago, with Cam Williams being that newcomer to the line. He actually has a top 25 start under his belt, and I thought he played well aside from a couple of pre-snap penalties. What's going to be interesting is whether or not Nato Umeozulu kind of holds on to that left guard spot over the incumbent Hayden Connor, who's been at that been in the line for the past 2 seasons. So that should give you an idea of what's happening behind the scenes. If Kyle Flood and Steve Sarkisian are willing to, kind of switch up what's going on with their returning offensive line, you have to feel pretty good about that group of guys pushing them, especially for Nato, who is now in that first group the last 2 practices of spring ball, something that we'll certainly be monitoring moving forward. But Texas has plenty of depth, something they haven't been able to say for quite a while.
Talking with CJ Vogel on Texas football, insider and recruiting analyst covering the Texas Longhorns. Let's talk a little defense, CJ. Kenny Baker, the new defensive line coach, taking over for Bo Davis, who left for LSU. What have you noticed about Coach Baker in the defensive line so far in these 5 practices?
Yeah, Coach Baker brings a ton of experience and a ton of energy to practice. And I think that's the number one thing that you notice. The defensive line spot is one of those positions where energy is needed. You know, that's a high effort, high motor position. If you're going to succeed and make the plays that you normally wouldn't have, it's because you try harder than the guy next to you. And I think that's what Texas saw a lot of with Byron Murphy. Of course, his skill set and athleticism played to his advantage, but the effort was never in question, along with Devondre Sweat, who was seemingly just bigger than everybody else he faced. Again, a very skilled guy as well. Texas right now is kind of lacking that true nose tackle, a guy that you can have at 330 pounds right over the head of the center and kind of be that anchor of your defensive line. I think right now you're looking at a lot of 3 techniques in that group right now. Those are guys that you have over the guard. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something that you are going to need when you face the Georgias and the Alabamas and Michigans of the world, when you know the interior of their offensive lines can push you around a little bit. Texas, I think, might go portaling for an option, maybe 2, just to go get, enough depth in that room right now, because that to me is probably the biggest question mark of this entire team.
Do you think Sadir Mitchell could ultimately be that nose tackle, or do you think he's going to take a little bit more time and more development before he's comfortable in that role?
I was hopeful this would be the spring in which kind of, sprung him, no pun intended, to get him onto the field. But when you come in at 372 pounds, which is basically a 30-pound jump from where you were last fall, I start wondering, will you be able to contribute at that height and that weight consistently? I don't think so. And while Devondre Sweat was able to play on the field last year at 360, this was a guy that came in probably 60 or 80 pounds lighter than where he ended up at Texas, and that lasted over the course of 5 years on campus. So it was a gradual increase in weight that resulted in him playing at the weight that we saw him be so successful at, whereas Sadir Mitchell came in at that size and really had to adjust his body as a result. And while he lost some weight, he eventually gained and added more to his frame, which I don't think is necessarily a positive at the moment. So I'm kind of bearish at the moment with what we'll see from Sadir next fall.
Another name that I've heard defensively is Jalen Gilbo. A lot of Texas fans may have forgotten him. He's dealt with injuries the last 2 years, didn't really play too much last season, but had a great winter workout. Seems like he's having a great spring, and now it looks like it's going to provide Sark and Coach PK some flexibility defensively, CJ, because you have Jade Barron coming back who can play star or corner. You have Gilbo. You mentioned Derek Williams, and, of course, Michael Taffy's coming back. So it seems like Gilbo's kind of rise and development is going to make this Texas secondary pretty good next season in the SEC.
Yeah, I would think so, too. Gilbo was a fun one to cover out of high school. He joined the Longhorns as a true freshman and instantly found the field. It was him and Jade Barron who were really splitting times early in the 2022 season at the star position. Of course, Gilbo gets hurt last year, didn't see the field for the entire season, and now returns. And I think the Texas staff, still holds him in very high regard for what he can do on the field. The question is, will he be up to speed from where he was 2 years ago? So far, I'm liking what I'm seeing out of him in spring practice, and I think he will be a contributor again. And that goes to a different point. Malik Muhammad has been sidelined a little bit the last 2 practices due to what we believe to be a soft tissue injury. He suited up for practice, but ended up not going the full way the last 2 days that we were out there as media. So if that's the case, Texas is pretty light on their cornerback depth chart. They only have 3 guys with game experience, with Warren Roberson kind of being that next guy up. But as a result of that, you can now move Jade Barron outside and slide Jalen Gilbo into the nickel or slot position there and feel confident with what you have across the board in your secondary. Again, depth, talent, and really just an overarching trends that you'll see with this Texas team right now at every position.
That is CJ Vogel, college football insider and analyst for the Texas Longhorns. You can find him on Twitter at CJ_Vogel_OTF and read and listen to him and watch him on Texas football, the On Texas Football YouTube page. CJ, always appreciate the time, man.
I appreciate it, Cam. Y'all have a good one.
Yes, sir. You too. CJ Vogel, always glad to have him on with us as Texas football practice. Now 5 spring practices deep. Another one tomorrow on Friday as we get closer and closer to the spring scrimmage, the orange-white game in April. All right, coming up next, an inconceivable on this Thursday. We have a special guest joining us in studio. Find out next year as the Craig Way Show continues on Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone.
Text Texas, followed by your message to 81530 to chat along with your favorite sports radio AM 1300, The Zone hosts. That's Texas, followed by your message to 81530. Standard data and message rates may apply.
Assemble the squad for some mini golf with a serious shot of fun. Shake your putt at Holy Moly, a mini golf course and bar that turns traditional putt-putt into the craziest round of mini golf you've ever played. With drinks, cocktails, and tunes available at our full-service bar. Whether you're looking to throw a party that kicks putt or just want a place for your pals, gals, friends, and fam to putt loose, Holy Moly Austin has you covered. It's like golf, but fun. Get ready for rivalry as friendships are put to the test at Holy Moly. Search Holy Moly Austin to make your reservation.
You're working really hard and you got a lot of pride. We're all in this together for a long, long ride. You can depend on us, we're tried and we're true. Henna Chevrolet, we'll always stand by you.
Henna Chevrolet has been an Austin original for over 80 years, and we've been treating customers right and saving them some serious money since the beginning. For straightforward, all-inclusive pricing, together, let's drive at HennaChevyAustin.com.
Life's a constant swirl of shopping. Groceries, clothes, gifts, the occasional self-care splurge. You know how it is. That's why you should get the Drop app. With Drop, you earn points for shopping and turn those points into gift cards. Last year, I scored $150 in gift cards alone. Make sure to use code DROP23 when you sign up and get $5 in Drop points. That's DROP23. Get rewarded for shopping and download Drop now for free on the App Store or Google Play.
In the market for a wood fence? Whether you choose Viking Fence or someone else for your project, the pros at Viking Fence have built a How to Buy a Fence guide to ensure you get the best value for your dollar. Is your contractor specifying the exact grade of red cedar? If not, he may be substituting a lower grade that costs less. Is your contractor specifying treated pine posts and rails? Treated pine is cheaper than cedar or steel posts and prone to twisting. Did your contractor specify what grade of fastener they are using? Lower grade of nails and screws will rust and stain your new fence in a matter of weeks. Is your contractor specifying steel posts? Do they specify the thickness of steel? Thin gauge steel posts are prone to breaking under heavy winds. To learn more, visit our How to Buy a Fence pages on VikingFence.com. When you think fence, think Viking.
Life moves fast. No one has time for a car, truck wreck, or commercial vehicle accident. At Davis Law Firm, we get it. When you call the fours, you don't have to worry about insulting offers from insurance adjusters, property damage, or car rental. With over 25 years experience, we have secured important verdicts and settlements, some in the millions of dollars. I'm Jeff Davis. If you were in a car, truck wreck, or hit by a commercial vehicle, call me at 444-4444. What for? Call the fours. Attorney consultation by appointment only. Davis Law Firm, Austin, San Antonio. Davis Law Firm is a proud official partner, personal injury attorney of the San Antonio Spurs.
The most common form of treatment for the arthritic joints is normally cortisone injections and gel shots and over-the-counter medications. And most patients have tried all of that and are still in pain.
Every day, Dr. Aaron Wolkoff, a QC Kinetics medical director, meets patients who have exhausted every method to get relief. They've been told surgery is their only option.
They want to stay away from that path, and they come to us almost as a last hope. So we're using our own body's properties to help manage pain, to help slow arthritis down, keep the patient active with no downtime, and getting back to what they enjoy doing. I mean, I love what I do.
QC Kinetics regenerative treatments from our board-certified providers help heal and restore aching joints. No surgery, harmful drugs, or downtime. Call for your free consultation today.
Call QC Kinetics, 512-593-4303. That's 512-593-4303. 512-593-4303.
Okay, Jenny, you're in that forward.
Coach, you sure you don't want me to take over? It seemed like you weren't feeling too good earlier.
I'm feeling better.
No cough or chest congestion?
Took Mucinex Kickstart.
No more headache?
Nope.
Fever? Body pain?
I'm back in the game.
New Mucinex Kickstart gives all-in-one and done relief with a morning jolt of instant cooling sensation.
That's it, Jenny. Take the shot.
With Mucinex Kickstart, it's not cold and flu season, it's comeback season. Buy Mucinex Kickstart now at your favorite retailer. Use as directed.
Hard work, dedication, and dreams. These are the keystones of success. But easily filing your taxes with TurboTax and Credit Karma doesn't hurt either. And getting your max refund guarantee definitely doesn't hurt. But let others think you did a lot of hard work to file your taxes when in reality, it was a walk in the park. No, you literally filed while walking your dog in the park. Winner! Because some key info is pre-filled for you, so you can file quickly and confidently like the boss that you are. So give yourself the peace of mind that comes with getting expert help, because you're going places. Let's go! And make tax season feel like it's award season with easy filing. Yeah! Know that you're backed by the leading tax preparer, TurboTax, and we'll show you all your filing options up front, so there are no surprises. Feel accomplished and confident that your taxes are done right. File an Intuit Credit Karma today. Ah, yeah. Expert help not available with all products. Guarantee details available at turbotax.com/guarantees.
To thank you for 40 unforgettable years, Dell Technologies is celebrating with anniversary savings on their most popular tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors, and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Life's a constant swirl of shopping. Groceries, clothes, gifts, the occasional self-care splurge. You know how it is. That's why you should get the Drop app. With Drop, you earn points for shopping and turn those points into gift cards. Last year, I scored $150 in gift cards alone. Make sure to use code DROP23 when you sign up and get $5 in Drop points. That's DROP23. Get rewarded for shopping and download Drop now for free on the App Store or Google Play.
All the good stuff. Yeah. Camps keeps you on top of pop culture.
There's finally some protection from people having their likenesses and voices stolen and abused by AI. Tennessee is the first state in the nation to criminalize unauthorized use as artificially generated images, video, or audio in the bipartisan Ensuring Likeness, Voice, and Image Security Act of 2024, or Elvis Act, named after one of the state's most famous residents. Many performers, along with industry groups including the RIAA, BMI, ASCAP, the Recording Academy, and American Association of Independent Music, support the law, which is being used as a model for federal legislation to create similar protections nationwide.
All right.
And that's what's poppin'. I'm Camps on iHeartRadio.
Listen to Mike Hardball Harsh, weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
Inconceivable! 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 Inconceivable!
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Inconceivable on a Thursday afternoon. Would it be inconceivable to have Jeff Barker from CBS Austin in studio? No, actually not. Jeff, welcome to the program.
Having me, Cameron, in studio, not just over the phone. Excited to be here today.
Finally. Thanks for coming in. Welcome to Inconceivable. Now, we'll talk some Dodgers the next hour. Don't worry, we'll get to it. And some Houston Open.
Nothing going on with the Dodgers. Nothing to see here. Keep it moving.
Let's start off with Sean Diddy Combs. Were you a big fan of P. Diddy growing up? Because you're a West Coast guy, and he's East Coast, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was a huge fan, but familiar with his work on the musical side.
Okay.
To be clear.
I think
I kind of know where this is.
Yeah. Well, he's been on the news for all kinds of stuff. I think there's a probe going into a probe about him with sexual trafficking and all this stuff. But it took a weird turn yesterday, Jeff, when a former Syracuse basketball player, Brendan Paul, was arrested Monday and issued 2 drug-related charges because he's been identified in a federal lawsuit as a mule for P. Diddy or Sean Combs or whatever his name is. The lawsuit, followed by Little Rod, love that, accuses Combs of sexually abusing men and women and mentions Paul, the former Syracuse guard, as an assistant and confidant to Sean Combs. Paul allegedly works as Mr. Combs' mule. He acquires and distributes Mr. Combs' drugs and guns, according to the lawsuit. Now, Jeff, not everybody goes pro in professional basketball, but Brendan Paul went pro in drug mules, I guess.
This is certainly taking the NCAA's old slogan, going pro in something other than sports, to an unfortunate new level, or new low in this case. I think the 2 most inconceivable parts of this to me are on each end. For Diddy, I'll never understand millionaires, extremely wealthy people, famous people that get caught up in this. Like, what is not enough money about what you've made and what you've done in your career that you're like, hey, you know what? My next act needs to be running drugs and being a terrible human being. And then if you're Brendan Paul in this, I don't understand how you go from, afterthought Syracuse basketball player to, you know what my life after basketball needs to be? Running drugs for someone, running guns for someone. Like this is, there's going to be a documentary on this at some point. For sure. And that's what I always think about when I see these stories now, because I'm a huge documentary fan, and there's so many good ones made nowadays. I immediately see this and I go, yeah, there's going to be a Netflix documentary or Apple TV. Like, they're going to have people bidding major sums of money to, get the deal to put this into documentary form. So yeah, inconceivable on both those fronts, how those two, given their past, would 1 connect, and then 2 decide that that's the business they need to get into.
How did they get connected? Like how did Brendan Paul and Sean Combs get connected? Because he was a walk-on. It wasn't like he was the best player on a Syracuse team and going to all these parties. I mean, maybe he was, but I want to know how they got linked up together.
I feel like you never know. Like, all these musicians want to be athletes, and all these athletes want to be musicians. So, they get connected. You saw, Drake visits the Texas women's basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, there's all kinds of random connections where you're like, why would this person go visit this program? Or, I know Drake, I guess, is a Houston guy now, so he was with the Cougars the other day, but maybe it was something like that. And
who knows?
Yeah, well, for it to be a walk-on, definitely pretty inconceivable, I'd say.
Paul was a walk-on at Syracuse, played 16 games. He scored 3 points across those 17 minutes of action in the 3 years. The best part of this, Jeff, also is the athletic story on this. The picture was of the wrong player, a different white guy, and they had to get it fixed up. So,
oh, no, that sounds like that could be a legal issue there if I'm the other guy.
Could be sued as well. A couple inconceivable things for you. Okay, let's talk a little gambling here on the basketball side. Now, Jeff, it's not legal yet in the state of Texas, but for Jonte Porter, the brother of Michael Porter Jr., well, he plays for the Toronto Raptors, and unless you're an avid Raptors fan or avid NBA guy, even I knew who he was, but didn't really know too much about him. Well, he's under investigation by the NBA following multiple instances of betting irregularities over the past several months, including 2 games. 2 games where there was an increased betting interest against the Raptors and the Clippers on the under for Jonte Porter props. So it was 5.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists. There was also an over-under for Porter's made 3 points, which was under, which was 0.5, which is basically 0 3-pointers in the game, right? In that game against the Clippers, Porter played 4 minutes before leaving the game because of an eye injury that he suffered apparently 4 days earlier against the Grizzlies. If you watch the clip, The injury happens on a play where I believe it's Russell Westbrook driving to the basket, and his elbow hits Porter in the neck, but Porter looks at the bench holding his eye. So, okay, maybe not. Then against the Kings, March 20th, same thing. An increased betting under on the over-unders for Porter's points and rebounds. Porter comes in, and with the first 17 seconds, gets 2 rebounds, then leaves the game because of an undisclosed illness. Now his brother
Fishy.
Michael Porter Jr. came out and said, he didn't do any of this, whatever. The head coach for the Toronto Raptors, Darko Rajakovic, said, I never doubt injuries. I never doubt honesty from players. Obviously, I've never had a situation like this before. Now, it doesn't seem like Porter himself made the bets, Jeff, but, obviously could have tipped somebody off. The same thing happened with the Alabama baseball coach who got fired. But, this is going to continue to happen and happen.
Right. This is not a surprise that this happened.
No.
Even if it wasn't Porter betting on it himself directly, this is basically the sports betting version of insider trading. It's, you don't think this happens more often where a guy's buddies will go dude, what are your minutes going to look like tonight? What's the game plan? These guys go to shoot around in the morning. They go to shoot around sometimes 8-9 hours before they even play a game. I'm sure they have a meeting before, after that. You don't think there's another 6-7 hours before they actually play the game. You don't think they're getting on the phone and some of their buddies, who have nothing to lose and are just I'm in a legal gambling state, or even if they're not, they're going, hey man, you gonna play tonight? Should I take the over? Did coach say you're gonna get a bunch of playing time? Or maybe they're texting their buddies going, yeah, man, I don't know, coach is tripping right now. We're getting into it. I'm not gonna play much, or my knee's banged up, but he's gonna tell me that I need to try to go, and then I'm gonna tell him after 2 minutes that I can't go. So he's not gonna be on the injury report as out. So they'll still post props, and then you could take that information and say, okay, well, dude, I'm going to put 10 grand or whatever they'll allow me to put. It's usually a smaller amount of money on props that you're able to actually get down.
Yeah.
But they could say, all right, well, I'm going to go put a bunch of money on this and make money that way. The same way you could with insider trading. If you were somebody that had access to business information before it became public and it was going to either propel or tank a stock, it's essentially the same idea. So I'm not surprised that this has happened, and it's probably happening more than we even know about, and it'll continue to happen. And this is a natural side effect of, and a growing pain of, all these leagues being directly involved with sports books or gambling companies, whether it's DraftKings. Now they have their own legal sports book. FanDuel's got one. You name it. ESPN the biggest. Still the worldwide leader. For, whatever you want to say about the changing landscape and the media business and sports media, ESPN's still the go-to. They're still the most well-renowned brand. They have their own sports book under their umbrella. They use their own lines when they talk about gambling on their shows. So there's going to be side effects like this of making it public and making it mainstream that people are going to have to get used to. And I'm not saying it's not a big deal, but to me, you've got to have, there's two things that need to never be okay. Giving information out like that can be considered insider trading and get you in trouble, or people around you in trouble that you're giving that information to. And then also betting on yourself and betting on the sport that you play. Those are two things, especially the latter, needs to be absolute no-nos all the time. You never should bet on your own sport, but it's going to be difficult to police this. There's going to be a lot of blurred lines and gray area moving forward.
And honestly, Jeff, it's probably happened all the time. You mentioned more than you know it. It's probably happened all the time in the past. We just, now all these companies have the ability to track and really find out where the bet was made, who has ties, where in the past, it was illegal. So obviously there probably wasn't a lot they could do about it. So it's probably happened all the time in the past, and it's going to continue to happen.
There's a company, US Integrity, and they've been behind finding a lot of these irregularities. I don't know if they were involved in the one with Porter, but the Temple basketball issue that arose a couple weeks ago, US Integrity was part of they were basically who uncovered that. And, they're written up in these articles as kind of a player in this game now of policing some of this stuff and watching out for irregularities and trends that might be concerning. They're already, obviously there's people way smarter than us that are, or way ahead of this on, than we are, and other people are that are working out some of these issues or trying to police it as much as you can. But I think these players, they need to realize, and then coaches too, the Alabama baseball coach was involved in something similar last year. Like, you're going to get caught if you're doing something and it ends up being that egregious, or if you don't know the people you're giving this information to. Like, if you're going to do that, you better trust these people that they're only getting $20 bets down, because that's when it gets flagged, is when people start winning a bunch of money on this. And the books and companies like US Integrity that are watchdogs of sorts, they're going to look at it and go, yeah, something's up there. We've had, however much money, a small amount of money bet on Jonte Porter props over the last entire course of the season. And now all of a sudden there's, 6 figures, 7 figures potentially coming in on one guy to not make a 3-pointer, and the line is 0.5. Like, it's, it's actually not inconceivable, but it's fishy.
Yes. Well, that's why the NFL also made an example out of Calvin Ridley with that year-long ban. That's inconceivable on a Thursday. We'll be back to wrap out hour number 1 here on the Craig Way Show.
Let's be honest, you won't be hoisting a championship trophy anytime soon.
Hail, hail, Michigan, the champions of college football.
But you could still be a winner. Get over to am1300thezone.com and check out the contest page, where we're always giving away cool prizes, including tickets and games, concerts, and events around Austin. Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
As we draw into the springtime, why not start to make your house more efficient for the upcoming summer heat? We're not that far away from it. And the way to do that is to consider solar. With my friend John Hardy and his great staff at Divided Sky Roofing and Solar. You can upgrade your house to solar and make it more efficient, or you can add batteries to make your current system even more efficient. You want to talk about being efficient? How about 0% down on payments with low monthly payment options available? That's right, 0% down. And energy efficient upgrades are also tax deductible. And we can certainly use that as we head toward tax time as well. Get really smart with your energy and make it more efficient with Energy Shingles. And maybe you had some roof damage. If you have to replace a roof, you can do it with the Energy Shingles to make your house more efficient. Check them out on the web at mydividedsky.com and give John and his staff a call, 512-995-ROOF. That's Divided Sky Roofing and Solar.
Tax time is here, and if your plans include upgrading from what you've been driving around for way too long, then you need to come see us at Steel GMC in Round Rock. Hi, I'm Steve David, and I've been helping folks for over 30 years find the right vehicle that's been thoroughly inspected at a price you can afford. Not only do we have a great selection of pre-owned trucks, cars, and SUVs, but ours comes with our Steel Strong lifetime warranty, and that's absolutely free. Your powertrain is protected for as long as you own it. You'll find a real Steel deal on a lot full of certified pre-owned vehicles with our free Steel Strong warranty. Exit 256 in Round Rock, or see for yourself at steelgmcroundrock.com. Steel Strong lifetime warranty, and that's absolutely free. Your powertrain is protected for as long as you own it.
Shoppers first or shoppers last. Get a real deal from Steel.
We are professional grade.
Your garage door won't go up or down, so give us a call. We're all over town. Promise to you is honest and fair. The real Cedar Park overhead doors. The garage door on your house needs repairs. Call Cedar Park Doors and we'll be there. We'll get there fast and we'll treat you fair. Call Cedar Park Overhead Doors.
When is a garage door emergency repair truly an emergency? When it happens to you, of course. When you need a repair done fast, trust the experts to get it done now. Call the real Cedar Park Overhead Doors. Trust our family to fix it right the first time. For over 30 years, when our phone rings, we're ready to serve all your garage door needs. So when that spring goes sprung or you forget to open the door when backing out, we'll be there for you. Customer first, that's honest and fair. We're here for you 24 hours a day and online at cedarparkgaragedoors.com.
We work really hard while the other guy snores. Happy customers, we have more. We'll get it right and we'll get the job done. For Cedar Park Overhead Doors. 335-7441.
Everyone knows that Austin Shoe Hospital repairs shoes, but did you know we are also the boot repair experts of Texas? Our master cobblers can recraft your favorite worn-out boots to almost new condition. Austin Shoe Hospital repairs any boot style and all brands. Western pattern boots, custom-made boots, ropers, riding and work boots. There is no boot we cannot restore, men's or ladies. So bring that special pair of boots to Austin Shoe Hospital and let us show you what is possible. Go to austinshoehospital.com for information. If you can wear it, we can repair it.
20628. The Abacus VIP plan is the only plan you need. Save on plumbing, AC, and electrical services, including annual maintenance, drain cleaning, generators, water treatment, and more. It's just $24.95 a month at abacusplumbing.com.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations like Freeform Radio. Search Freeform Radio and listen now on your free iHeartRadio app. Free never sounded so good.
March is here, and it's time for tip-off. Are you ready for wall-to-wall basketball? Specs has got you covered. With a huge selection of handcrafted brews, canned cocktails, and top-shelf spirits, Specs is the perfect assist for your game day celebration. Take a time out and feed the fans with Specs sweet and salty gourmet snacks. It's time to crash the boards, and Specs is your sixth man. Specs, the fun starts here.
Swing into the new year with a home run for your dental health at 12 Oaks Dental, Austin's complete health dentist. They are dedicated to your wellness and keeping your smile healthy for a lifetime. Schedule a new patient appointment today and score a complimentary bacteria test and consultation. Make your dental health a grand slam. Visit 12oaksdental.com. 12 Oaks Dental, where every smile is a home run. Proud radio sponsor of UT Athletics.
Get the Apple Leasing Advantage today. Visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com.
Portions of the following program will be recorded.
From the Audiovisual Consultation Studio, this is KBET AM Austin, AM 1300, The Zone. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your sports, podcasts, and music. Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone presents the Harsh Knocks Life Show. Join Mike Harsh weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. only on Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone.
All right, real quick, going to wrap up the first hour here on the Craig Way Show. Wanted to tell you guys about one of the biggest events in Austin coming up this year. It's the iHeartCountry Music Festival presented by Capital One. Saturday, May 4th, the 2024 lineup is out, and boy, it's got some bangers on it. Jason Aldean, Jelly Roll, Old Dominion, Lady A, Riley Green, Ashley McBride, Brothers Osborne, and Walker Hayes. That's right. The show now, it's almost sold out. Just a limited number of tickets remaining. Get yours now at Ticketmaster.com. The 2024 iHeartCountry Music Festival. Going to be a great one at Moody Center. All right, hour number 2 coming up. Jeff Barker in studio as the Craig Way Show continues on this Thursday afternoon in the 512.
He's a Texas legend, a Hall of Fame broadcaster, the voice of the Texas Longhorns, and your host of the Craig Way Show. Here he is now, Craig Way.
Hour 2 rolling on here on the Craig Way Show. Cameron Parker filling in for Craig Way, who's up in the Pacific Northwest in Portland, the regional site of the NCAA Women's Tournament, as Texas now in the Sweet 16. They'll take on the Gonzaga Bulldogs tomorrow night. A late start for us Central folk, 9 p.m. Central Time, 8:45 tip. You're going to hear that. Craig and Aaron McMahon, I believe, on 98.1 KVET and also on the iHeart Radio app. Also want to mention our text line is open. Text the word Texas to 81530. Texas followed by your message. Someone texted in, I don't know if you should use the word probe and Puff Daddy in the same sentence.
Did I do that?
No, I think I did, because it's a probe into Puff Daddy.
Oh.
Whatever's going on with it. Is he, in terms of like awful human beings that are celebrities? I mean, he's got to be at the top, right? Not including politicians, because that's a whole different
This is not helping.
But
needless to say,
yeah.
Captain Obvious.
Well, he had the whole thing with his wife, who filed for the divorce and got a lot of money in the settlement. He just accusing him of harassment and abuse and just some weird kinks, I think is the polite way of saying things. Some interesting things. But that was an inconceivable story about Sean Diddy using a former Syracuse walk-on basketball player to be his drug mule, starring Clint Eastwood in 2026.
I can't get over the wrong picture being used. And maybe we don't need to name the publication again.
Yes.
The wrong picture being used for the former Syracuse player.
And the best part is the comments are still up, and most of the comments on the Athletic story are saying, why are the comments section open for this type of story? And the next one is, hey, it's the wrong white guy.
You got the wrong generic white guy walk on.
At the very top, it's the editor's note. A earlier version of this article had the wrong picture. It was not Brendan Paul. Always love that.
Please do not sue us.
On the text line, CB checking in from the Pacific Northwest. What does Jeff remember about Cameron, the intern at CBS Austin?
Oh, man, that was a long time ago.
It was.
But, just remember a nice, hungry, young lad who didn't have this fantastic beard he's rocking now. No, Cameron was always a great intern. That's why I'm happy to come in here now. Happy to come on the show whenever you need me. You and Craig, you guys do a great job on here. So happy to be on a show that I get to listen to a little bit when I'm out and about, going to different shoots and stuff for my main gig over at CBS Austin. Check us out.
Before we get into some sports stuff, is it different for you in terms of doing something like this as opposed to hosting a newscast or doing a live shot as a reporter outside a stadium?
Oh, this is really fun because, we get to go in a little more detail. I mean, we get to, on the news, we get to show, personality and stuff like that when we can. Yeah, right. It's quick. It's get through as much as you can. I mean, there's time for telling feature stories and getting great interviews. That's probably the best part about the job is getting to tell those cool feature stories and then, use video. I get to shoot a decent amount of video and get some cool access because of the camera. So obviously that's a couple really cool parts of the job that I wouldn't trade. But whenever I get to come on with you guys, it's always awesome because I can expand a little bit, talk about random inconceivable things that I wouldn't get to discuss on the local news airwaves.
You can say probe, which I'm sure you can say on the newscast, but in a different way. Actually, I think a year ago, Jeff, we were out at the match play. This is that time of the schedule where usually, pour one out for the Dell match play, the PGA Tour event, but no more. This is the first year without it. The Houston Open has taken its spot, but I think in terms of, you mentioned cool access, for me and my job, I think the best part was being able to go out to that event, which is right across the street here at the studio, and be able to be out there at the ACC for a week and just be around some of the best players in the world.
And that was the coolest part of it, was the best players in the world part. I mean, they say that at a lot of tournaments. Oh, it's the best field we've had, and
the best field in golf, the Players Championship,
right? Or like this is a nice field this week in Houston. For the Houston Open, you got Scotty Scheffler, Wyndham Clark, Will Zalatoris, Bo Hosler, the Cootie twins. They're all there. Doug Gim's there, so some Longhorn Texas ties. Yeah, Cody Gribble, former Sanderson Farms champion, Cody Gribble. I just remember that randomly from my days in Jackson when I was working in Mississippi and he won that. But good to see him still out on the PGA Tour. But anyway, with match play, it was cool because, I mean, you would get basically the top 70 guys in the world because it's top 64. And then, you'd have a couple guys that crack as alternates or guys that don't come out. So, yeah, that was awesome, man. And the one thing I tell people too, if you were ever able to get out to it, or if you're ever able to get out to a different golf tournament and you have access to the practice rounds, I know it kind of sounds lame at first, but that is some of the coolest stuff you can see if you're a golf junkie, because you get to actually see those guys kind of a little more, like, I don't want to say loose, but you get to see their process. They are a little looser out there. And we watched when Tiger was here, we watched Justin Thomas and Tiger play a practice round together, walked probably, 8 or 9 holes with them. And that's the other thing too. They just kind of walk out there. They'll throw a ball out. You get to see how they practice and roll putts on the greens. And then the other thing that I always remember about there is watching Bryson on 12 at Austin Country Club, and that was bulking Bryson, protein shakes and all red meat and potatoes Bryson, and him hitting that shot downhill, downwind on 12 with the Pennybacker Bridge behind, about as good as it gets as a golf fan.
I know, remember hole 6, the par 5 on the front 9 for the tournament, back 9 for the members. And if you've been out there, you know the driving range is to your left. The driving range faces towards the 6th hole. And I remember being out there following a match, and a golf ball comes flying like near me to my left. And I'm like, there's no way it was off the tee because we're 400 yards away from the tee box. The 2 players are down in front of me. I realized it was coming from the driving range, and my first thought was Bryson. Oh, it's just Bryson hitting balls over the practice at the driving range.
400 yards the wrong direction.
The Tiger Rory match on the Saturday morning, I think when people ask me, hey, what's the coolest thing you've been able to cover, experience? I think that match, because not only did we see Tiger Woods play golf, because I had never seen him before in person, he took down Rory, who I believe was the world number 1 at the time.
Our sports director, Bob Ballou, and our former sports producer and photojournalist, Anthony Hieronymo, they were out there for that. And the story that they turned of just the shots that those guys hit, they talked to some fans, obviously interviews with both those guys after the match. It was a Saturday morning, early, right?
Yeah, it was the early match.
Yeah, so it was like 8 a.m., and that place was absolutely packed. I mean, their story had shots and, sound of guys wearing, grown men, like multiple, like packs of 10 grown men at a time wearing Tiger onesies.
Yep.
Like that was the Tiger mania that I didn't really get to see in person as a kid. I watched it all on TV and was glued to the TV, and Tiger's my favorite golfer, one of my favorite athletes of all time. But getting to at least get a little piece of that, albeit on the back end of his career, was really, really cool to get that here in Austin.
And to be able to be there and hear a Tiger roar. That's the real thing. When he holed out on 12, I wasn't there. I think I was actually at 16, 17, probably following Spieth. And I remember hearing the roar from all the way down the river. And it was like at Lake Austin, I had never heard that before on that golf course, because it's open, right? You have Lake Austin, so sound doesn't really travel well on that course. But for Tiger Woods, I don't know if you were there when he holed out from the fairway, but that was like, that there can only be one person in the world, and it's Tiger Woods.
Yeah, and the Tiger Roar and the Tiger Gallery, for what it was for match play in, was that 2018 or 19?
2019. Was it 2018?
Yeah.
Right? Because he won the Masters 2 weeks later.
So can you imagine hearing that and then like what the Roar was like a couple weeks later at Augusta, or just what a general Tiger Gallery or Roar is like at Augusta or any major?
Chills.
Yeah.
I get chills thinking about it. We need a break. Coming up next, though, Jeff's going to stay with us. We're going to talk a little Texas football. He's been out there for all the spring practices and also talk about the NCAA tournament. They want to expand the field. Why? We're going to get his thoughts on that, as well as the Craig Way Show continues. Hour number 2 here on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone.
Voice your opinion by using the iHeartRadio app TalkBack feature while listening to Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone. Your hot and cold takes need to be heard somewhere. If you send a great one, you might just hear yourself on the air.
Join us for our 2024 iHeartRadio Music Awards, live from the Dolby Theater in Hollywood.
Monday, April 1st. Watch on Fox, starting at 7 p.m. and listen on the free iHeartRadio app.
Otezla Adrenalast is a proud partner of the iHeartRadio Music Awards, a celebration of artists and the fans who got them there. The fans who make the music truly come alive through their energy and positive vibes. To the fans that make live music possible, we salute you.
Did you know that solar energy gives you independence from utilities and helps keep your energy costs down? Why not get a free estimate with locally owned Divided Sky Roofing and Solar? You can get more information at mydividedsky.com. That's mydividedsky.com.
You're working really hard and you got a lot of pride. We're all in this together for a long, long ride. You can depend on us, we're tried and we're true. Chevrolet, we'll always stand by you.
You won't find us rushing you along, trying to upsell you or confuse you with financial lingo. Our number one goal is your 100% satisfaction. For a better experience, together let's drive at HennaChevyAustin.com.
Syntec Premium Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines. Available only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This March, Wendy's has some amazing deals on their hamburgers made with fresh, never frozen beef.
Like a juicy Dave's single for $1 and a fresh $2 Dave's double with in-app offer.
It's such a good deal, we wrote a little ditty about it.
Get it for $1. Dave's single, order in the app. Dave's single, get it for $1. Choose wisely, choose Wendy's official hamburger March Madness.
Limited time offer. Participating U.S. Wendy's. See offer details and redeem at Wendy's app. Account registration required. Fresh beef available in contiguous U.S. and Alaska.
Imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free. No credit cards, no car loan, no personal loan. Hey, it's Craig Way. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value is way up. You can use that to wipe out all of those credit cards. Get some money for a home improvement, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars at your fingertips. And approval is just minutes away. Call now, 512-298-4600. That's 512-298-4600. Check them out at loanpronto.com, 512-298-4600. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
Celebrate and save at Ashley's anniversary sale with hot buys, your choice of colors starting at just $3.99. Ashley Sleep mattresses starting at $2.50. Plus, receive a free adjustable base with select mattress purchases and shop top mattress brands like Stearns & Foster, Tempur-Pedic, Purple, and Beautyrest Black with 60-month special financing. Only at Ashley. Subject to credit approval. No minimum purchase required. Minimum monthly payment, down payment, tax, and delivery may be required. See store for details.
Sneezing, coughing, stuffy nose, runny nose, postnasal drip, interrupted sleeping. I was groggy at the end of the day.
Allergies and sinus congestion were making Jana miserable. Then a friend recommended Navage. Navage provides immediate drug-free congestion relief, flushing your nasal passages with refreshing saline and sucking out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Navage helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel your best right away.
Navage gave me instant relief. I didn't have to wait 30 minutes. I didn't have to wait an hour, 90 minutes. I didn't have to wait a minute. I ran the rinse and I felt better.
Stop suffering from congestion and start breathing and feeling your best again with Navage. Navage.
I've had people ask me how I find relief, and I tell them Navage immediately. This thing is amazing.
Navage is available at Navage.com or at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid.
Assemble the squad for some mini golf with a serious shot of fun. Shake your putt at Holy Moly, a mini golf course and bar that turns traditional putt-putt into the craziest round of mini golf you've ever played. With drinks, cocktails, and tunes available at our full-service bar. Whether you're looking to throw a party that kicks putt or just want a place for your pals, gals, friends, and fam to putt loose, Holy Moly Austin has you covered. It's like golf, but fun. Get ready for rivalry as friendships are put to the test at Holy Moly. Search Holy Moly Austin to make your reservation.
Hard work and dreams lead to success, but easily filing your taxes with TurboTax and Credit Karma doesn't hurt either. Make filing taxes a walk in the park because we'll pre-fill your info for you so you can file quickly and confidently. Winner! Get the peace of mind that comes with expert help. Let's go! Being powered by TurboTax means you're backed by the leading tax preparer, and we'll show you all your filing options up front so there are no surprises. File your taxes on Intuit Credit Karma today. Expert help not available with all products. Guarantee details available at turbotax.com/guarantee.
Life's a constant swirl of shopping. Groceries, clothes, gifts, the occasional self-care splurge. You know how it is. That's why you should get the Drop app. With Drop, you earn points for shopping and turn those points into gift cards. Last year, I scored $150 in gift cards alone. Make sure to use code DROP23 when you sign up and get $5 in Drop points. That's DROP23. Get rewarded for shopping and download Drop now for free on the App Store or Google Play.
Hey, as you all know, March Madness is here. So are you excited about the madness or just mad that you don't have your home entertainment system the way you want it to view all of the madness. Here's how to remedy that situation. Call Tom McKay and his great people at Audiovisual Consultations. AV Consultations is one of the largest dealers of most television and audio brands, so the chances are they're going to have or be able to get whatever you need for the entertainment system you've envisioned. You don't have to shop around for that 72, 75, 85-inch HD TV or the surround sound, not to mention all of the mounts and the equipment needed to make it work. Tom and his guys will handle it. They'll bring over everything needed for your space, and they'll set up all of it for you, and they'll work within your budget. During this maddening month of college basketball, the NBA, the startup of Major League Baseball, and so much more, why not deck out the room of your dreams with hours of entertainment? Give Tom a call, 512-255-8678. That's 512-255-8678, or check him out at avconsultations.com. Let Audiovisual Consultations help you realize the home entertainment system of your dreams.
It's the Hard Knocks Life Show. Weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone.
Testing. All right. You can cut out that other.
Hey, yo, hey. Yeah. Run it up, Blondo.
As requested by Jeff Barker, are you a big Extra Plug fan? Are you a big Extra Plug fan?
I just love that. I just love that song. It's a good hype song. They played it before the men's basketball games for most of the time, and then I think they switched to a Nipsey Hussle song. Gosh, that's what. If I stick around for another break, it'll be a Nipsey Hussle song for my next request. You kind of put me on the spot like a minute before, but I did have to make sure for your sake that you got the clean version of that one.
Of course, and shout out to the iHeart Music Library for always having clean music so we don't get fined by the FCC. A very good hype song. Always gets me in the mood when they play this as a hype song. It's probably one of the best, but also I know the Dallas Cowboys also used it, and that kind of takes away a little bit
it for you.
Yeah.
So we played it at my wedding because we had a lot of Texas people, a lot of California people. So we did a dance off. We had the DJ do a dance off once everybody was feeling pretty good. Yeah. We came back in and we had all the Texas people, and then he played a part of that. All the California people, and he played California Love, and it was just a giant party.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Who won the dance off?
Texas won the dance off because one girl just went nuts and crushed everybody and did the splits and all these crazy dance moves. I looked at my buddies and I was like, yeah, we're done.
Yeah, I'm not
unless one of you guys is way more flexible than I know about.
I'm not going to come back and do the gritty after that.
No way.
So we came back with Texas because Texas spring football is underway. Practice number 5 yesterday, number 6 tomorrow. Jeff, you've been out there a couple times with some shoots. Just curious so far, what's been your biggest takeaway from practices in spring?
I've been looking a lot, like everybody else, at the receiver position. I think we're all curious to see who's going to replace basically 90% of the receiving production
Maybe
for Texas.
2 first-round draft picks.
Yeah, I mean, not just at the receiver position too, but Jatavion Sanders over 600 receiving yards, and obviously the impact that he had and what he required defenses to pay attention to and game plan for, and then Jonathan Brooks as well.
Yeah,
what Jonathan Brooks was able to do in the screen game and also just the dump off game for Quinn Ewers. So checking out that receiver position, because you think Isaiah Bond. I listened to your conversation with CJ earlier a little bit, and I agree with what he said about Isaiah Bond. He's probably, based on experience, talent, and the speed he has, pretty safe to say. I mean, I'd be shocked if he wasn't the 1 or 2 receiver if he stayed healthy. But then, what can Matthew Golden do? Showed flashes at Houston, has a ton of talent, pretty similar skill set, it seems like, to Bond. And he just never had that, 1,000-yard year, which Bond didn't either, but, made some huge plays. The one he made in the corner of the end zone, that miracle play to beat Auburn and keep their playoff hopes alive. And then Jonte Cook, you go down the line after Jonte Cook, and then, amongst others for guys who can step up and take on another role. And I think, we've seen from Sark that even though he doesn't necessarily rotate receivers a lot, he seems comfortable, making decisions based on, hey, this guy's producing, and maybe what we saw in camp for a month is not what's happening on the field. So we need to pivot. I mean, that's sort of what we saw with Jonathan Brooks last year too, was CJ Baxter was technically the starting running back. And then Jonathan Brooks, after CJ went down real quick, starts tearing it up. And Baxter ends up having a good year, but Brooks, no doubt in my mind, would have been an All-American and probably would have won the Doak Walker Award had he stayed healthy. But that was a quick pivot from Sark, because I'm not sure he expected that type of production from Jonathan based on the decision to start Baxter. So Texas fans will have to be patient to let some of this play out at receiver. But the good news is, a guy I know we're about to talk about in a minute, they've got Quinn Ewers. So as the roster shifts year to year, Sark's done a good job of saying, okay, the receiver position's a strength this year, but now it's the running back position, and kind of just a little give and take with, building up enough depth and recruiting and developing at a high level to where you're able to do that. You're able to lean on one position one year and then maybe the next position the next year. Because when Bijan and Roschon were there 2 years ago, it was the receiver position we were not concerned about, but you're like, hey, this is going to be about the running backs. So I'll be curious to see, the guys that they end up trotting out at receiver, and then how that competition plays out throughout all of fall camp and the season.
Yeah, because usually Sark sticks to like a NFL type rotation where he usually has his 3 guys, and that's about it. Maybe 4 or 5 will kind of come in. Last year, I think talent-wise, because AD, X, and Whittington were so far ahead of all the other guys, and most of them were either true freshmen like Jonte Cook. Who else am I missing?
Brian
Niblett, DeAndre Moore. And then you had, a big drop off. And then you had, guys like Casey Kane, who didn't, who had played intermittently, but, he had his issues 2 years ago with drops and stuff. I'm curious if the way he handles his rotation will be different this year because, well, for one, he is replacing 80, X, and Whittington. Now, he loaded up in the portal with Bond, with Silas Bolden from Oregon State, who will be a late arrival. You mentioned Matthew Golden, but also those guys have not really played with Quinn Ewers yet. And then you have the younger guys like Cook, like Moore, like Niblett, plus Ryan Wingo coming in. So I'm curious if his rotation does expand this season or if he does stick with his guys and what that looks like.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see that too, but it's interesting what you say about, not really rotating at all last year. I mean, I think Jonte Cook had 14 catches and probably half of those came in
41 snaps, 8 receptions.
8 receptions.
Casey Kane was 5th most in snaps with just 18, but Mitchell Worthy, both with over 470 snaps, Jay Witt with 325. So you go from Jay Witt 325 snaps, the 4th most was Jonte Cook in 41. And how many of those 41 came in blowouts where he was probably working with Malik Murphy?
There were a couple times where Sark was asked, oh, why don't you, I mean, I'm paraphrasing the questions, but mix in, Jonte Cook a little more, somebody else, like, whoever it may be. And then he kind of gave the obvious answer of basically like, guys, like, what do you want me to do? Like, take Xavier Worthy off the field?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? Take A.D. Mitchell off the field? Take Jay Witt off the field on 3rd down? And what he was able to do in the possession game and in the intermediate passing routes and passing tree. Yeah. So it'll be really interesting to see which guys emerge, because I think he's going to have to let this play out a little bit more than just the 3 guys. Like, hey, we're going to leave camp with 3 guys. And he talked about that with the running back position last year. Like, as much as I'm saying, oh, he made a quick pivot, like, I think he knew, hey, we're going to need to let this position play out more, because as much as you saw from Jonathan Brooks in camp and, great runner, he'd shown a little bit the first 2 years that he was there as a freshman and a sophomore in mop-up duty. You never know how the guy's going to play as the featured back. Yeah. And then CJ Baxter, as great as he's going to be, the dude might win the Doak Walker one of the next 2 years while he's here. You didn't know how he was going to play as a true freshman.
He was the starter, and then it was Jonathan Brooks who had the Doak Walker-esque type of season.
And that's what I was saying about Sark being able to pivot quickly. And I know that sounds like an obvious thing coaches should be able to do, but even at Texas, we've seen coaches, in the past that don't pivot as quickly as, you might think they should. And I think we'll have to see how these guys, whether it's a DeAndre Moore, Ryan Niblett, or Ryan Wingo, really talented true freshman coming in, or a Jonte Cook, how these guys play when the lights truly come on. Not a spring game, not mop-up duty, when it's, hey, you're the dude. Like, you are a starting receiver or you are a rotation receiver getting at least half the snaps. How are you going to react? How are you going to react when you do drop a ball? Like, are you going to come back and make the next play? And that's stuff that you can't tell about guys until they really get out there. And you make a good point about the chemistry with Quinn Ewers. Even the guys that have been on the roster, your Jonte Cooks and all those other guys we mentioned, they were doing most of their work with Malik Murphy and Arch Manning. Like, they were running with the 2s. So Jonte probably hasn't caught that many passes in real game-like situations at all from Quinn Ewers.
Speaking of Quinn Ewers, he talked about it this week, how he was at his mullet weight, 220. I think he was asked if he was going to grow his mullet back, and he said he doesn't want to get back to mullet weight. What have you seen from Quinn so far in the spring? I know we talked with you guys yesterday, and what does a next leap for him look like in 2024 as a quarterback?
I thought that interview yesterday, that media availability was fantastic. He was the most open he's been. And I said this earlier. I don't know if that's not a knock, because I don't know if in his position coming in with as much hype that surrounded him and followed him to Texas. And even, when he skipped his senior year and he was one of the first NIL guys, skipped that senior year essentially for the NIL. Like, he was polarizing and had a lot of hype. So I don't think it really benefited him to say a whole lot. But now you just see a guy who seems so much more comfortable in his own skin and so much more comfortable being the face of the program, the quarterback at Texas. It's obviously what he dreamed of his entire life, but it's one thing to actually get there and then be that guy and walk into that locker room and know in the back of your head, hey, I have the talent, but also on the other end of that, I haven't really proven it yet. And as great of a guy as, Bijan and Roshan are, you're kind of like, this is like year one with him. It felt a lot like, yeah, I'm the quarterback, but this is Bijan's team. This is Roshan's team. Definitely Roshan just from a leadership standpoint. And then Bijan's our guy. He's our stud. But now, you went into that second year. You saw a little bit of still some of the growing pains, but a lot of the production increase was a little bit better on the deep balls, although you'd like to see him hit on a few more of those and clean that up. And then had the whole body transformation last year. That's another part of his transformation. You joked about the mullet weight. And like, while he was kidding around about that, there's also some seriousness in that too. I mean, he came in not on a D1 diet, not with a, NFL quarterback body. And then he slims down, to even use his words, like probably a little bit too much. And then now it's the transformation back to, hey, like, I'm going to put on good weight. And that's when he brought up the mullet weight soundbite. He said, this needs to be good weight, not mullet weight when I was 220. And I think that's huge. I give him a ton of credit for that. And then also, Torrey Becton, Sark, and their entire staff there of giving him, the right doable kind of body transformation deal that he needed. And then also for Quinn for actually doing it. I mean, it takes a guy actually going in there and putting in the work, being disciplined and eating right, doing the workouts that they set out in front of you. So I give him a lot of credit. And I think the next leap would maybe just be seeing a couple more of those take over the game type performances. That's what I talked about a little bit with him last year. And I don't know if it was a knock necessarily. I wasn't trying to knock him, but there were times where I wanted to see, like, can he just take over the game and dominate and, lead them back when there's no running game. The defense isn't playing well. Kind of saw that a little bit in the Big 12 championship game. So maybe some more of that moving forward would be the next leap for me.
In that second half against Washington, where Texas had 2 turnovers, defense was not getting stops. It felt like Quinn kind of took a step up, and he continues to do that because you talked about the physical part and the mental part. The way he talks and the way he looks is so much different than it was when he first came on campus. Because it was almost like, okay, here's Quinn Ewers, here's the mullet, this is cool. He's QB1. This guy's QB1. Now, when I see him talk to you guys and the way he throws it in practice, now granted, it's just a 15-second clip. It's not in live game action, but he looks more like a QB1, a quarterback of an SEC football team that is a true contender, that is a playoff team.
Yeah, and I think another aspect of him coming back that maybe he didn't touch on specifically or probably wouldn't want to, I think NIL helps a lot with this stuff too. There's not as much of a rush to get to the NFL when you're making a little bit of money. In his case, probably a lot of money. But of course, you're going to make more money, and it's going to be on a guaranteed contract, and the NFL's the dream. But knowing that that's there, that's still attainable for you, but you'll be in an even better position to succeed when you get there if you stay in college. And then also, oh, hey, you can make another whatever fill in the blank he's making right now on NIL, or even more than he made last year. That at least will hold guys over and say, hey, I don't need to rush to get in there just to cash that first check, just to guarantee that I make some money. And God forbid, something happens to me, like I need to make sure I get some money up front. Now guys are getting that, especially when you're the quarterback at Texas of a program about to head into the SEC, and you're the face of the program wearing the most recognizable brand in college football on your chest.
Do you think it helps him with Arch Manning being there, because a lot of spotlight is on Arch Manning, what he's doing. There's always the clickbait type stuff about Arch Manning articles and stuff. Do you think that helps Quinn a little bit? Because it seems like Arch Manning is the more popular quarterback on campus because of his last name. That allows Quinn maybe to fly under the radar a little bit more.
On the development side for him, like his just even down the line as, an NFL quarterback, as a person, just things that you'll deal with on and off the field, I don't see how that dynamic can hurt, especially because deep down within the program where it actually matters, you mentioned all the clickbait stuff and all the ridiculous stuff that gets written and said about Arch to try to just get some headlines and get some attention. Deep down, this is Quinn's team.
Yeah.
This is Quinn Ewers' team. I mean, Sark has said as much. Quinn doesn't need to come out and say it, but anybody who's close to this program and follows it, even if you're not that close, it's obvious now. This is Quinn's team until he leaves next year, and then Arch will take over. So I don't necessarily know if he flies under the radar. I think it's pretty much impossible for a Texas starting quarterback to fly under the radar. But to your point, I remember at the Sugar Bowl, there was that picture that went viral of the media scrum around Arch and then the 4 reporters talking to Quinn. I do have to contextualize that, though. As somebody who was in the mob for Arch Manning, that was the first time that he spoke since he got to UT. And the reason we all did that was because it was a media day where the media rules are not like they are in the NFL, where you can kind of just walk in and talk to whoever you want and they can say, yes, I want to talk, or no, I don't. This was the first time it was like, hey, Texas has to make him available to the media. Every player and every coach was available. So Quinn had just spoken the day before when they did other media itinerary, and they brought Quinn and some other offensive leaders, Xavier and AD and Jatavion Sanders. So a lot of us, basically 90% of us there, had just talked to Quinn. And on the other end of it, you had a Manning in New Orleans who we hadn't spoken with yet. And then there was local media there because that was obviously it's his hometown. So I see what you're saying there a little bit, where maybe, the success that he's had in being a third-year starter, it's a different dynamic than any Texas quarterback has been in, just because that's what happens when you have a Manning backing you up. But this is Quinn Ewers' team, and I think in the long run, it can only benefit his development to deal with this and learn to, I don't say overcome necessarily, but just learn how to deal with this and move past it.
We need a break. You want to stick around for one more segment?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Jeff Barker in studio with us. More to come here on the Craig Way Show as Hour 2 continues on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone.
It's the Harge Knocks Life Show with Mike Harge and Salty.
When Bill Belichick feels like you're a certain age, he's like Leonardo DiCaprio. Where if you get to a certain age, he's got to break up with you. If you're over 25, Leo can't be with you anymore. So you got to make sure that you're staying at the right age. And that's where Bill Belichick was.
Weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone.
Inconceivable. 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 Inconceivable.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
One of my favorite segments of the Craig Way Show, Inconceivable, where we talk about some of the craziest trending stories in the world of sports, food, pop culture, and beyond. Why not make time for fun, hilarity, and the sometimes outrageous topics at 2:40 p.m. Monday through Friday? And hey, if you have a story that you think we should mention, share it with us by using the iHeartRadio Talkback feature.
Are you on your best Lent behavior? The good news is Lent bundles have arrived at Twin Peaks. Get to your local Twin Peaks and grab the beer-battered fish and chips for a light and fresh fare that never skimps on the flavor. This beer-battered cod is served with the house-made tartar sauce, malt vinegar, and french fries. Score them along with the 22-ounce Miller Lite or Coors Light for just $12 every Friday through Easter. Or grab them with a soda or tea for just $10. Twin Peaks, your Lent season headquarters. Twin Peaks, eats, drinks, scenic views.
Now, during Staples Print Pig Sale, get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. So the more you print at Staples, the more you save. To demonstrate, print at Staples, you save. But if you print at Staples, you save. See how that works? Staples Print Pig Sale. Print more, save more. Up to $100. Ends 4/6. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Doug Gottlieb here. March is here. That means Chick Days. Planning your garden and college basketball. Just like in basketball, every team needs its MVP. When it comes to team members who go above and beyond, Tractor Supply has the winning lineup. Our home team at Tractor Supply is excited to support your hometown. We're proud to be part of the excitement of college basketball tournament season, and our home team looks forward to serving your hometown. Because every day is game day at Tractor Supply.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
March is here and it's time for tip-off. Are you ready for wall-to-wall basketball? Specs has got you covered. With a huge selection of handcrafted brews, canned cocktails, and top-shelf spirits, Specs is the perfect assist for your game day celebration. Take a time out and feed the fans with Specs sweet and salty gourmet snacks. It's time to crash the boards, and Specs is your sixth man. Specs, the fun starts here.
Swing into the new year with a home run for your dental health at 12 Oaks Dental, Austin's complete health dentist. They are dedicated to your wellness and keeping your smile healthy for a lifetime. Schedule a new patient appointment today and score a complimentary bacteria test and consultation. Make your dental health a grand slam. Visit 12oaksdental.com. 12 Oaks Dental, where every smile is a home run. Proud radio sponsor of UT Athletics.
Imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free. No credit cards, no car loan, no personal loan. Hey, it's Craig Way. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value is way up. You can use that to wipe out all of those credit cards. Get some money for a home improvement, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars at your fingertips. And approval is just minutes away. Call now, 512-298-4600. That's 512-298-4600. Check them out at loanpronto.com, 512-298-4600. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
My wife and I both, we ended up mildly sick for a few months. And the nasal congestion was probably the worst part. I had like a post-nasal drip, just super congested all the time. We were taking everything we possibly could, but nothing really worked.
Kyrie was miserable until a friend recommended Navage. Navage offers immediate drug-free congestion relief, flushing your nasal passages with refreshing saline and sucking out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Don't live in misery this cold season. Use Navage so you can breathe easier, sleep better, and feel your best right away.
The biggest thing Navage has done has completely cleaned out my nasal passages. It was from the first use. I was able to just clear out anything that was stopping me from breathing correctly. Navage helps me clear the way, literally clear the way for me to operate better in the rest of my life.
Experience the Navage difference yourself. Navage is available at Navage.com or at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E.
AM 1300 The Zone occasionally holds contests. For more information about contests on this station, go to am1300thezone.com/rules.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on Carol. She's more focused on hitting a high note than the car in front of her. Why pay a rate based on anyone else? Get one based on you with DriveWise from Allstate.
Not available in Alaska or California, subject to terms and conditions. Rates are determined by several factors, which vary by state. In some states, participation in DriveWise allows Allstate to use your driving data for purposes of rating. While in some states, your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Generally, safer drivers will save with DriveWise. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Things change pretty quickly, don't they, when it comes to technology or banking or whatever? Well, up 30 years ago, Apple Leasing changed the way that you get a brand new car. Apple Leasing will lease you a car, any make, any model that you want, and that payment, it's going to be less than if you bought that exact same car. You can do it with no money down. You can trade the car in that you have, and it's simple. One phone call, 346-9977. That's 346-9977. Of course, you can go to their website too, appleleasing.com. Maybe you're in a lease right now and you're like, I'm stuck in this lease. No, you're not. You are not stuck in that lease. In fact, Apple Leasing specializes in getting you out of that lease and into a brand new car from Apple Leasing. Any make, any model, one phone call away, 346-9977. Call them today, 346-9977.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of hundreds of thousands of titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
I'm Laura Richards, criminal behavioural analyst, former New Scotland Yard, and my first crime analyst case happened before the start of my career at New Scotland Yard. But its legacy has wide-reaching consequences even now. I'll be analysing the Yorkshire and Manchester murders, the murders and near misses in the north of England in the 1960s, 70s and 80s, the brutal attacks on lone females committed by Peter Sutcliffe. Come join me in the Intelligence Cell every week as we deconstruct this case and figure it out.
The Crime Analyst Podcast.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one app.
You're listening to Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. We're back. It's the Craig Way Show with Hall of Fame broadcaster and voice of the Texas Longhorns, Craig Way.
So another Jeff Barker requested bounce back. Nipsey Hussle, last time I checked, now Nipsey is West Coast, right?
Oh, Nipsey is as Los Angeles as it gets.
Okay.
Rest in peace.
So what part of LA were you from?
The Pasadena area.
Okay.
So I grew up right around the Rose Bowl.
Okay. So you're close to Riviera then? That's the Palisades, right?
That's more like West LA. Okay. And then where they play the Genesis is, I'm blanking on the course, but yeah.
Riviera, right?
Oh yeah, maybe that is the one over in like Pacific Palisades.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have enough money to know anything about that golf course besides what I see on TV.
I've never been to LA, so I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Great. As you can imagine, great golf out there. Actually, some of the best public golf is the two courses, 18-hole courses, Brookside around the Rose Bowl. Those are the ones I grew up playing. Awesome track, great place to learn how to play golf. Great place to grow up, and here I am now.
There's a lot of great golfers that have come from the California, LA area. It's definitely on the bucket list to get out there, not just to visit, but also to get out there and play some golf. Houston Open underway. Any interest in this week's Houston Open, or are you just kind of checking out until Augusta?
Well, as what typically happens is a couple guys that I, place a small wager on play particularly terrible or finish second. They either play terrible or finish second. So the two worst possible options. I had Will Zalatoris this week. He is 4 over. Jason Day, 2 over so far. But our guy, Scotty Scheffler, Cam, who, because I try to think I'm smart and I'm like, oh yeah, like still value on betting Scotty. Well, he's 5 under par on his round today.
We were talking about during the break about two guys who are just betting every game against the Athletics to lose, which is, they might win 20 games this year at this point, especially with the Las Vegas move looming, and just I can't name a single player on that roster. I don't even know who their manager is anymore.
I don't know if they'll show up for 20 games.
Exactly. You got rats living in the press box. The opposite of that might be just betting on Scotty Scheffler to win every tournament. I mean, you can do top 5, but at this point, top 5, it's probably not great value at all. But neither maybe is winning the tournament. For Scotty.
I'll say from a stretch of dominant golf and even from the odds makers gambling standpoint, this is Tiger-esque.
It is.
I mean, I think the shortest odds Tiger ever had, we would see Tiger all the time at 3-4 to 1. I think he was almost even money at a tournament a couple times. John Rahm not too long ago was in the 3 or 4s to 1. So, if you put 3.5 to 1, you put $10 down, you win 35. Like, that's not great. Doesn't feel like great value for a guy to win an entire golf tournament, but that's what Scotty's at now. He was under 3 to 1. He was about 2.5 to 1, I think, when it, when the odds came out, and then even before the tournament started. But this stretch from him is just It's unbelievable. I mean, to win back-to-back and the ways that he's winning, he won it. He wins at the Arnold Palmer Invitational by 5. And then the next week, he wins the Players' Championship and comes back from down 5 in the final round. He's winning in all types of ways. The only thing that could stop him early in the season was a little issue with his putter, and then he switches to the mallet putter, and now like the dude can't miss, and he's basically impossible to beat.
If his putting holds up, and he's not like he's putting lights out, he's putting average when it comes to strokes gained putting. But with him averaging, just being an average putter, he's winning these events. You mentioned the odds for the Masters. Right now, BetMGM has him at plus 450. That's the lowest it's been for any player since Tiger Woods in 2013 at the Masters when he was a plus 350. When he was valued at plus 350. So you're spot on with that. March Madness, how's your bracket looking?
It's all right. I mean, I got what matters still intact. I lost one Final Four team, Kentucky. That was my sleeper-ish pick. I know they were a 3 seed, but that was my non-1 seed in there. My non-1 or 2 seed. So I still have my champion, picked Purdue.
Okay.
And I still have UConn and Arizona was the other national semifinal matchup I had for the Final Four.
If I was ever to make like a March Madness manifesto when it comes to bracket predicting, I think one of my top roles would be if you have UNC, Kentucky, and Arizona, maybe even Tennessee, even though shout out Rick Barnes. If you have those 4, one of those teams is going to get upset in the first round. It's figuring out which one it was. I thought Kentucky was going to be the one that's going to go deep, and I thought Tennessee might be the one. I think I had Tennessee beating Texas, and I think I was worried about Arizona, but it seems Duke was the one that I was like, they're going to lose to Vermont. But it looks like Duke might actually have a chance to beat Houston. Arizona could be a little shaky, but then Kentucky goes out in the first round. Now all this Calipari stuff's is flying around. And then Tennessee, depending on how they look offensively, they're a team that can make a Final Four run. But it seems out of those 4, one of those is always going to let you down.
And you know what? That's the beauty of the tournament. Yep. You can look at John Calipari, national championship winning coach, king of the one and done, the amount of guys that he's put in the NBA. Their recruiting classes every year, ridiculously stacked top to bottom, all the 5 stars. But you know what? When you lose to 14 seed Oakland, who's led by a bunch of,
Jack Golke,
future mortgage lenders and stockbrokers and finance bros, like, look, you're playing against grown men. But that's the beauty of the tournament is that any given day, you roll the ball out on a neutral field or a neutral court, survive in advance, single elimination, and, Jack Golke can come out and just bust some brackets up.
So there's been talk about them expanding the tournament to possibly anywhere between 70 teams to 90. What's your thoughts on a potential expansion of the NCAA tournament?
It's fine the way it is.
Okay.
There's no issues with it right now. College football playoff expansion, I think we all wanted that. And I think even if you didn't want that and you were like, I'm fine with the 4 teams, I feel like most reasonable college football fans could understand why somebody would want 6, 8, 12, which we're getting now, eventually 14, it looks like. But with the NCAA tournament, why in the world do we need 90-something teams or 100-something teams? I know these bubble teams can get in and they can make a run, but we have enough of that right now. Like, why do we need to even provide more opportunities to not get our blue blood teams into the Final Four? And as much as people say that they like the upsets and, give me all the chaos, ruin every bracket, that's cool, but it makes for kind of crummy matchups
in the Final
eventually.
Four.
Or even in the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8. Look at this year's tournament. I can almost guarantee you these games the next 2 days in the Sweet 16 are going to be some of the best basketball games that we've watched at the college level in a long time, because it's mostly the chalky teams, the favorites that won. You have an 11 seed in NC State. That's still a high major team. It's an ACC team, and they have DJ Burns DJ Burns and then DJ Horn, both the DJs. But Burns is the one
he's a big boy,
the hefty lefty, man.
Yeah, hefty lefty.
He's stealing hearts and breaking brackets left and right. But even they're like not a, that's not 14 seed Oakland or 15 seed St. Peter's or Max Asmus's Oral Roberts team from a couple years ago. And then after that, you have, I think the lowest seed after that is 6 seed Clemson, who plays tonight.
Yeah.
So I think the upsets are great, but I don't know if we need to add that many more. I mean, if you were going to do that, at least make buys for these teams that get a top seed. Because at some point you keep adding to it, and what is the benefit of getting a top seed? I mean, I know you would think you're going to have to play worse competition, but still, like, I just don't think there's anything wrong with it now. It's one of the best 3-week stretches of the sports calendar. So why mess with it?
Sometimes more of something that is good does not mean it's going to be better. I think you hit the nail on the head there, because it's like, okay, Indiana State, sure, should they have made it in? Maybe. Oklahoma, those teams that were on the bubble, you're telling me that if they were in the field, it's going to change things? No. I mean, the lowest or the highest seed that's ever won the NCAA tournament was what? Villanova as an 8 seed?
1985.
1985.
And that was actually, ironically, the first year of the 64 team bracket.
Yeah. But outside of that, I mean, these Cinderella stories are great. Like, sure, you have the Steph Currys, you have, VCU and Shaka Smart, but even then, still, it's the blue bloods that you mentioned, like last year's Final Four. UConn, FAU, San Diego State, and who was the fourth team I'm leaving out?
You said UConn, San Diego State, FAU, and Miami.
Outside of UConn, but they were a 4 seed. Not exactly brands that are going to draw people to the TV. Like, I think that was probably, I'm not sure the numbers, but I know it wasn't one of the highest rated matchups. Sure, those stories were great, but it's the popular teams that draw the rooting interest and stuff. And you mentioned the matchups. I mean, looking at these matchups this week, Houston Duke, that's going to be an incredible game. Gonzaga taking on Purdue, also going to be a good game. UNC Alabama, Creighton Tennessee, these are all they're the best teams, but they're also the best teams, but it's going to be the best basketball. And no offense to Duquesne or Vermont, like it's fun on that first Thursday or Saturday, like, oh, this is cool. But once you get to the final round, it's like, okay, they had 1 or 2 games, but really it's the top teams and the top players you want to see. You gotta get out of here, by the way.
I'm looking at the matchups right now, though, because I agree, and I'm looking at it because I want to make the point that we're getting variety.
Yeah.
Like, we're getting variety in these games. Like, even Clemson, that's a little variety there. You have a blue blood in Arizona, and they're playing Clemson. That's a 6 seed. A bit of if they won another game, you might start calling them kind of Cinderella-ish. And then we mentioned NC State, but like Illinois, Iowa State. It's not like those are 2 of the best teams in the country, but it's not like they're like basketball powerhouses.
Mm-hmm.
And then North Carolina, Alabama, that's a fun game. San Diego State, Connecticut, a rematch from last year. And, we're still getting a little bit of everything, even if we're not getting all the upsets. You have Marquette, Gonzaga, Creighton. I'm not going to call those mid-major teams by any means, but they're not. I think they're all teams that don't have football programs. Like, they're kind of more those true traditional basketball brand powerhouse schools.
Jeff Barker, thanks for coming to the studio, man. It's been fun.
Yeah, this was awesome. Appreciate you having me in.
All right, we're going to wrap up hour number 2 here on the Craig Way Show, and then we're going to hear from Craig Way himself in hour number 3 here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
Your Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone show hosts are looking good. Want to know how we know? It's time. Y'all ready? Because the Harsh Knocks Light and the Craig Way Show have live video streams, faces for radio, and the digital screen.
It's main event time. It's going down.
Find us on Facebook at AM 1300 The Zone.
Are you looking for chef-inspired comfort food in the local Austin area? Let me tell you about the Lee Kitchen and Tavern. Hey, y'all, it's Cameron Parker, and I want to talk to you about one of my favorite spots in Austin. With the vibe and the tone of a vintage speakeasy-inspired eatery, the Lee Kitchen and Tavern menu offers rustic American comfort foods made from scratch, using fresh products delivered daily. The tavern boasts a cocktail menu that takes guests on a stroll through history. You can dine in or pick up lunch and dinner at any of the 4 Locally owned and operated locations in Austin, including Avery Ranch, Bee Cave, Belterra, and Lakeway. This month's specials include the classic Reuben, corned beef with Thousand Island dressing, Swiss sauerkraut on rye bread, and feel festive with the cocktail of the month, the Celtic Mule, with Jameson, Matilda Peach, lime wedges, mint peach slices, and topped off with ginger beer. And make sure to also try the Fresh Chef specials, croquettes, hot and crunchy trout, or the Wagyu shepherd's pie. It's the League Kitchen and Tavern.
An accident with a company car, truck, SUV, van, or fleet vehicle is not just another car accident. Thomas J. Henry handles serious company vehicle accident cases and gets serious results for injured clients. Visit tjhlaw.com/radio. San Antonio, Texas.
Heard the catchphrase that's sweeping the nation?
Jackson, Hugh, yeah.
People are saying Jackson Hugh yeah to Jackson Hewitt because they love saving money on tax prep. Do you love saving money? Then switch to Jackson Hewitt today and pay less than last year. Thousands of people have already made the switch. Why haven't you? Stop waiting and start filing. You won't get a better deal or a better catchphrase. All together now.
Jackson Hugh, yeah!
Proof of prior year payment required when filing. New clients only at participating locations through April 7th. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
If you're looking for the most epic place on earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Hard work and dreams lead to success, but easily filing your taxes with TurboTax and Credit Karma doesn't hurt either. Make filing taxes a walk in the park because we'll pre-fill your info for you so you can file quickly and confidently. Winner! Get the peace of mind that comes with expert help. Let's go! Being powered by TurboTax means you're backed by the leading tax preparer, and we'll show you all your filing options up front so there are no surprises. File your taxes on Intuit Credit Karma today. Expert help not available with all products. Guarantee details available at turbotax.com/guarantees.
Okay, Jenny, you're in that forward.
Coach, you sure you don't want me to take over? It seemed like you weren't feeling too good earlier.
I'm feeling better.
No cough or chest congestion?
Took Mucinex Kickstart.
No more headache?
Nope.
Fever? Body pain?
I'm back in the game.
New Mucinex Kickstart gives all-in-one and done relief with a morning jolt of instant cooling sensation.
That's it, Jenny. Take the shot.
With Mucinex Kickstart, it's not cold and flu season, it's comeback season. Buy Mucinex Kickstart now at your favorite retailer. Use as directed.
Syntec Premium Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines. Available only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations like Freeform Radio. Search Freeform Radio and listen now on your free iHeartRadio app. Free never sounded so good.
Life's a constant swirl of shopping. Groceries, clothes, gifts, the occasional self-care splurge. You know how it is. That's why you should get the Drop app. With Drop, you earn points for shopping and turn those points into gift cards. Last year, I scored $150 in gift cards alone. Make sure to use code DROP23 when you sign up and get $5 in Drop points. That's DROP23. Get rewarded for shopping and download Drop now for free on the App Store or Google Play.
It's spring. Time to gather your friends and family and fire up the grill with some Kingsford charcoal. Because everything tastes better cooked on the grill. Whether it's a casual get-together or a special occasion, Kingsford Original will give your food that authentic, wood-fired barbecue flavor everyone craves.
Wow, so good.
Because it's not spring until you've thrown some burgers on the grill with Kingsford Original Charcoal, America's grilling expert. Kingsford.com.
From the Audiovisual Consultation Studio, this is KVET AM Austin, AM 1300, The Zone. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your sports, podcasts, and music.
Okay, real quick, before we wrap up hour number 2 here in the Craig Way Show, want to remind everybody about the upcoming iHeart Country Music Festival here in Austin at Moody Center on May 4th. It's an event that I'm telling you, you guys do not want to miss. Presented by Capital One. It's the biggest country music event of the year, featuring a fire lineup. Jason Aldean, Jelly Roll, Old Dominion, Lady A, Riley Green, Ashley McBride, Brothers Osborne, and Walker Hayes. The show is about sold out, but you can still get a limited number of tickets online at Ticketmaster.com. Hour number 3 coming up next year on the Craig Way Show.
It's the Craig Way Show with the voice of the Texas Longhorns and Hall of Fame broadcaster, Craig Way.
Final hour of the Craig Way Show on this Thursday afternoon in Austin, Texas. I am Cameron Parker. Craig Way is up in the Pacific Northwest, where the Texas Longhorns women's basketball team will take on the Gonzaga Bulldogs tomorrow night, 9 o'clock tip Central Time. That's right, 9 p.m. Central, 8:45 pregame. Craig Way and Aaron McMahon will have the call. And now joining us from Portland is Craig Way himself. Craig, how you doing?
I'm good. Greetings from the PNW. Good to be up here in Portland. It is a typical Portland, Oregon day in late March. A lot of rain, chilly temperatures, and feels like it's in the 40s and stuff like that outside. By the way, it feels like that in the building too. And this is not even a hockey arena. Moda Center, beautiful building, home of the Portland Trailblazers, but it is an icebox today. Everybody's wearing jackets and coats. I'm not sure why it's like that. The only place where it's slightly warmer is on the floor itself, with a lot of lights on the floor. And the Longhorns, as we speak, are on the floor right now. Each team gets 1 hour on the floor, and they had a little 10-minute media window at the start of each practice for shooting some video and things like that. And then everybody is ushered off the floor. It's a closed practice otherwise. So the Longhorns are going at it on the floor right now, and they're the last of the day to do that. Remember, there's a couple of interesting dynamics here, Cam. First, the fact of the 4 teams that are in this Portland 4 regional, and Stanford and NC State, who will play in the first game at 6:30 Texas time tomorrow night. And then, of course, Gonzaga against Texas in the 9 o'clock game. So they've all gone through their practices. Then tomorrow, or they have other practice day, and then tomorrow they'll have some practices for the teams that are in the Portland 3 regional, which will be USC, the 1 seed, against Baylor, who has gotten through to the round of 16, and then UConn, the 2 seed, against Duke, or UConn, a 3 seed, against Duke, a 7 seed, which pulled a surprise in the second round. Duke did in advance by knocking out Ohio State. So you've got 2 regionals being run here. It's the second year of this concept. They got 2 more years on this deal. And there's a lot of conversation about the future of the tournament, how they plan to do it. Would they keep it like this beyond the 2 years? Would they try something else? I'm going to have a conversation with Debbie Antonelli from ESPN and Westwood One, because Debbie had fashioned together a plan years ago to have the NCAA consider, once you reach the round of 16, sending all 16 teams to Las Vegas and letting them play it out there. And I know that's been under some consideration. So I'm going to catch up with her sometime here in the next 24 hours, I think, and we'll have that conversation for you tomorrow on the show.
Now, you're about 2 hours behind us here in Austin. That's why the tip is so late, 9 o'clock here, but 7 o'clock there in Portland. How do you get it? Do you have a sense of how the team is adjusting to this time change, if they even have to adjust to it at all?
I know they didn't have any problem sleeping in this morning. Breakfast was at 9 o'clock Pacific time this morning. So last night, the team, there was a team meal that we were all out at a local restaurant. And then when it was afterwards, you know what the team custom is. They go for ice cream afterwards. So they went out for their ice cream. And then they had some film study last night looking at Gonzaga. And so they were doing things like that in the hotel. And then they had lights out at a kind of a reasonable time. Erin McMahon and I were sitting at dinner with the team, and she said to me, it doesn't feel like 8 o'clock. My body's telling me it's 10 o'clock, so there was adjustment for all of us. But they did that, and they looked pretty normal enough. They were at breakfast this morning, and they're all on the floor. They had one, by the way, they had their real heavy-duty practice, so to speak, today already over at the Nike facility in nearby Beaverton. So they went over there and did that. Then they came over here for their 1 hour on the floor, which was mainly shooting, but doing some walkthrough things as well.
Now, we talked about on the show about Texas playing here in Portland and how that, might provide a little bit of a home court advantage to Gonzaga. But Craig, I remember in Kansas City when we talked to Aaliyah Moore after they had won the Big 12 championship game against Iowa State, which they call Hilton South there, a big crowd from the Cyclones. Amo talked about how, hey, I think we play better on the road. I mean, the mentality of this team, it feels like no matter who they're playing, where they're at, they're just ready to play, and it's not really going to affect them if there is a good, decent crowd from Gonzaga fans or not.
Well, that'll, I don't want to say I'll believe it when I see it, but it is 350 miles away. It's not like it's coming even like what Iowa State did. Yeah, and the most vociferous fans of Gonzaga really and truly are their students. When you go into the kennel, they do have their fans. There's no doubt about it. And they will have fans here tomorrow, I think. What I'm curious to see is the local turnout for the games, because you've got 2 games tomorrow. And then, of course, there's 2 games Saturday in the other Portland regional. And that was part of what this whole NCAA directive was going to be about, this model to try to see if having 2 in one weekend there, kind of like having what we saw in Charlotte last week, where you start off with 8 teams and 4 games. Well, it's 8 teams and 4 games. It's just spread out over 4 days instead of 2 days. And so I am kind of curious to see what the local turnout is with regard to this thing. So I'm not exactly sure what the Gonzaga thing. Now, as to Aaliyah Moore's comments, remember what we had from Amo yesterday on the show, where she was saying, we like being the villain. It doesn't really have a problem with it. Vic Schaefer said the same thing. I don't mind being the villain. Aaron and I just now walked out of the Gonzaga news conference just a few minutes ago, and their players were talking about, hey, we're embracing the underdog role. We've got no problem being the underdog. So like Eliza Hollingsworth and Brenna Maxwell were the ones in the presser, and they were just kind of smiling about it and said we're looking forward to being the underdog in this thing. The interesting thing also is these teams had a couple of common opponents, including Alabama. Now, the Wolverines just played Alabama last weekend, and it was back some time ago when Gonzaga played them. So somebody asked the 2 Gonzaga players, is there anybody that Texas reminds you of that you've already seen? And so then they kind of huddled together for a second, kind of whispered at one another, and then said, maybe Alabama, because they're kind of physical. And Aaron and I found that kind of interesting, because they may be more physical than a lot of teams, but I didn't think Alabama was that particularly physical against Texas in the ball game the other day.
Now, Gonzaga, outside of Alabama, they've had a really good non-conference schedule. They played at Washington State, a game they lost by 5 points in overtime, lost number 20 Louisville by 11. But then they also beat Stanford, the number 2 seed in the same region as Texas. They were ranked number 3 at the time. They won that game handily, Craig, 96-78. So this is a Gonzaga team that maybe hasn't played the brand names down the stretch in conference play, the San Diego's, the Pacifics, but it is a team that is battle-tested and has beaten one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah, and they've only lost 3 games, and then one was real early in November against Washington State, and that's just down the road from them, Pullman from Spokane, about 90 miles. And then that Louisville loss you mentioned. So both of those were in November. They did not lose a game until they got in the championship game of the West Coast Conference Tournament against Portland, and that was by 1 point. That was the one big surprise for them. So they've been on a roll. You can tell just by visiting with them, they are brimming with confidence. They feel really good about their chances in this event. So that's good. and I know Texas also feels kind of confident about it as well. The players have been asked about it, and they've kind of joked about it as well. So they're very comfortable and confident in their own roles and in their own shoes in getting ready for this event.
What is the team schedule like looking tonight and tomorrow with that late tip-off?
Well, everything gets adjusted, as you know, by the clock. Dick Schaefer, I thought, had a really funny comment yesterday on the media availability back in Austin when he was asked about the two regional concept, and he said he wasn't really that big a fan of it because the thing that puzzled him was the fact that you've got teams going way east and way west. And he said there's nothing in the middle. You can put it in the middle of the United States and draw people as well. Well, I'm sure that if you had this thing, if one of the sites had been Des Moines, let's say, or Omaha, Iowa fans, Caitlin Clark fans would be filling up the building.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. But that would go against what the concept is supposed to be in having a true neutral. In fact, they were even asking him about, hey, will Gonzaga have sort of a home court? And he goes, it kind of goes against it. I think Vic is also the mindset. We'll kind of wait and see what it looks like tomorrow in terms of their fans. I'm also curious to see, this is something else that crossed my mind. Like I said, the locals, how they go to these 2 days. And let's say fans of USC, would they come to see the games tomorrow? Would Texas fans go to see Baylor on Friday if the Longhorns advance? Would they go to see some of the other games because you got some brand names, not necessarily Baylor, but you've got UConn, you've got USC with the fabulous freshman Juju Maxwell. So you've got Juju Watkins, excuse me. So you've got her, you've got them, and you got Duke, which is kind of a Cinderella story. So those are the kind of curiosities that I have about the two regionals going on in one building, in one city on the same weekend. I've never experienced it. Last year was the first year they did it, in Texas, of course, got knocked out in the second round. So I am kind of curious to see what it will be embraced here in Portland, which has, in Oregon and the Pacific Northwest, they've always supported women's basketball well. I think that's part of the reason why this city got it. Albany makes kind of sense as well from where they can draw fans in. We know South Carolina is going to travel fans no matter where it was going to be. They're the number one team in the country and undefeated, and they're the one seed over in that one. So there's going to be a lot of folks there as well. So that's where I'm also curious to see where this whole thing rolls.
Yeah, and before we let you go, it is opening day, Craig. Now, I know you already had technically your opening day in Korea against the Padres, but any interest in watching some baseball? Yankees and Astros underway right now. Rangers play the night. What's your baseball viewing schedule looking like today?
Well, I don't get to see the Dodgers because they're playing right now and I'm working, so I don't get a chance to see them playing the Cardinals. But yes, I think what I'm going to do, I'm having dinner with an old buddy from high school. He and his wife have asked me over to dinner, and he's lived up here in Portland most of his adult life. And I'm going to go over there, and I think we're going to be, watching some baseball. We'll watch some of that Rangers, but we're going to be watching NCAA Tournament as well. It's Sweet 16 tonight. I'm really curious about that Iowa State-Illinois matchup. Really curious about the North Carolina-Alabama matchup. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to watching some of that tonight as well.
It's a great sports day, that's for sure. Hey, Craig, thanks for coming on, and hopefully we'll talk to you tomorrow. And if not, have a great call tomorrow night.
Well, we will. Well, I'll check in on some level on that and probably send you a couple of interviews too.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Craig.
You bet.
All right, Craig Way, live from Portland, the Moda Center, home of the Portland Trailblazers, but also the home of the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight this weekend as Vic Schaefer and the Texas Longhorns have their eyes on Cleveland. But first, got to get through, got to get it done against the Gonzaga Bulldogs, a battle-tested team that's going to provide a challenge. But we'll see tomorrow night, 9 o'clock tip-off, 8:45 pregame. Craig Way and Aaron McMahon on 98.1 KVET. All right, hour number 3 continues here on the Craig Way Show. You're listening on Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone.
Let's be honest, you won't be hoisting a championship trophy anytime soon.
Hail, hail, Michigan, the champions of college football.
but you could still be a winner. Get over to am1300thezone.com and check out the contest page, where we're always giving away cool prizes, including tickets and games, concerts, and events around Austin. Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
Join us for our 2024 iHeartRadio Music Awards, live from the Dolby Theater in Hollywood.
Monday, April 1st. Watch on Fox, starting at 7 p.m. and listen on the free iHeartRadio app.
Otezla Last is a proud partner of the iHeartRadio Music Awards, a celebration of artists and the fans who got them there. The fans who make the music truly come alive through their energy and positive vibes. To the fans that make live music possible, we salute you.
Doug Gottlieb here. March is here. That means Chick Days, planting your garden, and college basketball. Just like in basketball, every team needs its MVP. When it comes to team members who go above and beyond, Tractor Supply has the winning lineup. Our home team at Tractor Supply is excited to support your hometown. We're proud to be part of the excitement of college basketball tournament season, and our home team looks forward to serving your hometown. Because every day is game day at Tractor Supply.
Celebrate and save at Ashley's Anniversary Sale. With Hot Buys, your choice of colors starting at just $3.99. Ashley Sleep mattresses starting at $2.50. Plus, receive a free adjustable base with select mattress purchases. And shop top mattress brands like Stearns & Foster, Tempur-Pedic, Purple, and Beautyrest Black with 60-month special financing. Only at Ashley. Subject to credit approval. No minimum purchase required. Minimum monthly payment, down payment, tax and delivery may be required. See store for details.
You're working really hard and you got a lot of pride. We're all in this together for a long, long ride. You can depend on us, we're tried and we're true. In a Chevrolet, we'll always stand by you.
And the Chevrolet has been an Austin original for over 80 years, and we've been treating customers right and saving them some serious money since the beginning. For straightforward, all-inclusive pricing, together, let's drive at HannahChevyAustin.com.
March is here, and it's time for tip-off. Are you ready for wall-to-wall basketball? Specs has got you covered. With a huge selection of handcrafted brews, canned cocktails, and top-shelf spirits, Specs is the perfect assist for your game day celebration. Take a time out and feed the fans with Specs sweet and salty gourmet snacks. It's time to crash the boards, and Specs is your sixth man. Specs, the fun starts here.
Sneezing, coughing, stuffy nose, runny nose, postnasal drip, interrupted sleeping. I was groggy at the end of the day.
Allergies and sinus congestion were making Jana miserable. Then, a friend recommended Navage. Navage provides immediate drug-free congestion relief, flushing your nasal passages with refreshing saline and sucking out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Navage helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel your best right away.
Navage gave me instant relief. I didn't have to wait 30 minutes. I didn't have to wait an hour, 90 minutes. I didn't have to wait a minute. I ran the rinse and I felt better.
Stop suffering from congestion and start breathing and feeling your best again with Navage. Navage.
I've had people ask me how I find relief, and I tell them Navage immediately. This thing is amazing.
Navage is available at Navage.com or at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid.
Attention construction superintendents, contractors, and event planners. If you're in the market for a temporary rental fence, call Viking Fence today. The same company that is so reliable with permanent fences can save you time, money, and headaches. Located in Central Texas since 1972, Viking is highly committed to prompt and courteous customer service. Our flexible pricing plans allow you to fix your costs or hit your budget. Ask about our damage waiver rate that will eliminate untimely chargebacks. Excellent work, great service, and an honest reputation. Call Viking Fence today at 837-6411 or visit us online at vikingfence.com. Again, call 837-6411 or visit us at vikingfence.com. When you think temporary rental fence, think Viking.
Imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free. No credit cards, no car loan, no personal loan. Hey, it's Craig Way. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value is way up. You can use that to wipe out all of those credit cards. Get some money for a home improvement, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars at your fingertips. And approval is just minutes away. Call now, 512-298-4600. That's 512-298-4600. Check them out at loanpronto.com, 512-298-4600. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
Don't miss the iHeart Country Festival at the Moody Center on Saturday, May 4th. Tickets on sale now at iHeartCountryFestival.com.
Happy Thursday. Let's take a look at your Austin roadways. Right now, it is shut down on 130, the toll due to a wreck, and it shut down southbound between Cameron and Gregg Manor. That's about a 25-minute delay. You're really backed up from Pecan Street. As an alternate route, you can take Pflugerville Parkway. It's shut down due to an accident on Hamilton Pool Road. That's westbound between Crumbly Ranch and Ranch Road 12. As an alternate route there, take Vale Divide. I'm Kat Cortez with a look at your Austin area traffic.
This report is sponsored by ModernAdoptionPlans.org. Have you thought about what you would do if you had an unplanned pregnancy and how it could change your life? Modern adoption plans allow you to choose your baby's parents and if you want to be in the child's life. To learn more about modern adoption, go to modernadoptionplans.org.
Last season on the Choosing Sides F1 podcast, we established unequivocally that F1 is the pinnacle of motorsports.
We did, but honestly, I was left with more questions than answers, Tony.
I'm Tony Karen Brown, a tech, culture, and F1 commentator.
And I'm Michael Costa, comedian from The Daily Show.
Join us for Season 2 of Choosing Sides F1 and get all of the answers.
All of them?
All of them.
Listen to Choosing Sides F1 on the iHeartRadio app,
or wherever you get your podcasts.
It's the Hard Knocks Life Show. Weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone. Text Texas, followed by your message to 81530 to chat along with your favorite sports radio AM 1300, The Zone hosts. That's Texas, followed by your message to 81530. Standard data and message rates may apply. Back to the Craig Way Show. Connect with Craig through the text line by texting Texas to 81530, followed by your message. Standard message and data rates may apply.
Craig Way Show rolls on here on this Thursday afternoon from Austin, Texas. Cameron Parker filling in for Craig Way, who is up in Portland. And if you missed it, he just joined us live from the Moda Center in Portland, Oregon, host of one of two regional sites for the women's tournament. Texas taking on Gonzaga tomorrow night. A 9 o'clock p.m. That's right, 9 p.m. start. It's not a typo. It is on the West Coast, so 9 p.m., 8:45 Central Time is the pregame start with Craig Way, Aaron McMahon on 98.1 KVET. As Texas and Vic Schaefer once again in the Sweet 16, trying to make it back to the Elite Eight and hopefully to the Final Four as they continue their impressive run without Rory Harmon. On the men's side, the Sweet 16 starts tonight. 6 o'clock start with Clemson in Arizona. And let's take a look at the bracket real quick. I wonder how everyone's bracket is doing. Well, let us know on the text line. Text 81530, Texas, followed by your message. Let us know how your bracket is doing if your Final Four picks are alive. Right now, mine are, but I do not feel great about it. My Final Four was, let's see, Houston, UConn, with UConn winning. And then I think I had UNC in Tennessee. After seeing Tennessee this past weekend, first off, what a job that RT and his staff did defensively against the Volunteers. Dalton Knecht, by the way, he scored 40 points against Kentucky at the end of the regular season. Texas held him in check in the second half. He whether he was being guarded by Kendall Weaver or Brock Cunningham or whoever, he just never looked comfortable in that game. And Texas was right there down the stretch. A Max Asmus missed 3 away from tying things up. And give credit to Tennessee, who knocked down some big free throws down the stretch to keep Texas at an arm's length and hold on for the victory. But I don't know. I know Creighton isn't as deep as Tennessee, but I like Schollmeyer a lot. I like Kalkburn. I think they're a team that could potentially pull off the upset against the Vols. That's tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. The first game today is Clemson and Arizona. Arizona, I mentioned the Jeff who was with us in studio. It's one of those teams where, either they're going to lose really early or make a deep run. Caleb Love's done a good job. The UNC transfer to Arizona, where you believe he won the Pac-12 Player of the Year, held off Dayton by 10 points in the second round, blew out Long Beach State. Clemson, on the other hand, by the way, a really sneaky run so far. Usurped New Mexico in the first round, beat them by 21 points, a Lobos team that at various points throughout the season looked really good, and then handled Baylor. Now, I will say, against the Bears, if you watch that game, holy Khalil, how many missed free throws did Baylor miss in that game? I think they had 16. That'll pull your hair out and probably explains why Scott Drew doesn't have that much hair left. A chance for Baylor to pull off the win, but just could never get within, I think, 2 or 3. It was always about 4 or 5 points. And credit this Clemson team, man. As a 6 seed, here they are against Arizona and a chance to reach the Elite Eight. First game at 6 o'clock. UNC Alabama, also, that'll be tonight at 8:30. I saw UNC firsthand this past weekend in Charlotte, and they played in the same region, or at the same location, rather, as Texas. They're in the West. Texas was in the Midwest, so they weren't in the same region. But UNC is a team. Now, I know they have Baycott, who's been there about 30 years. RJ Davis, one of the best defensive players in the country. They got a couple of white guys that can shoot. Yeah, I'm white. I think I can say that, right? But they're a team, no matter what they do, it feels like they have 5 guys on the floor that can score. And Michigan State, they led in that first half. They made a charge in the second half. But it felt like at any point UNC could get a good shot. And I think that's what you look for in the tournament, right? As you get towards the end. Same thing with Houston, right? They have guys on the 5, all 5 guys, they can get a good shot. UConn, same thing. Marquette, same thing. They have 4 guys, 5 guys at any given time you can trust to make a play for themselves. Not every team has that, right? I don't think Tennessee had that. I don't know. I don't think Iowa State has that. San Diego State, I don't think they have that. Duke at times, they look big and athletic, but I don't think they have that. UNC is one of those teams, and I think they'll handle Alabama tonight. And that's why I actually feel confident in my UNC pick. Same thing with Connecticut. I mean, they've been the most dominant team so far in the tournament. Granted, it's been two games. They absolutely destroyed Stetson, took care of Northwestern. Now face San Diego State, who, yeah, they were in the Final Four last year, 5 seed this year, did enough to hold off UAB, and then absolutely just blew out Yale in the second round, an 85-57 victory. They're a solid team. They're led by Jaden Ledee, who has just had a fantastic senior season. He's a Houston, Texas native, by the way. But so far, I mean, he had 26 points against Yale. He had 32 against UAB. He's very efficient. I think UConn is going to handle them just because Lee's going to have to probably score 30 to 40 points, but UConn's a team that, man, they just look so nasty. Illinois, Iowa State's going to be a very interesting game. That one's at 9 o'clock. By the way, UConn, San Diego State, 6:39. So 2 games tonight if you're trying to figure out which channel they are on. CBS will be Clemson, Arizona at 6:09. Connecticut, San Diego State, TBS/True TV. Alabama, UNC, 8:39 start following the Clemson, Arizona game on CBS. And then Illinois, Iowa State will follow the Aztecs and the Huskies. Illinois, I had them upsetting Iowa State before the beginning of the season, or sorry, when I filled up my bracket. And this is why. Iowa State's a team defensively top 10 in the country, probably top 5. And if you look in this tournament, they're probably top 4. They can really slow you down. And if you watch the Big 12 title game against Houston, that's exactly what they did. Same thing against Baylor, where they just slow you down and really take away your tempo. Now, Illinois, on the other hand, they're a team that likes tempo. Likes tempo. Their first 2 tournament wins so far, they scored 85 points. They scored 89. They like to shoot. They like to score. They like to run. Iowa State defensively, they're going to do what they've been doing all year long. They're going to try and just completely slow you down. Washington State, they only lost by 9 points. They only scored 56. South Dakota State only scored 65. When Iowa State beat Houston, I'm going to pull up double check, but Houston, I believe, had one of their worst offensive games of the season in the Big 12 tournament. Now, of course, you can factor in, fatigue. It's 3 games in 4 days. You're playing at Hilton South, but that's what Iowa State does. And I think now if I were to repick my bracket, I would take Iowa State because I think they're going to do enough to just slow down Terrence Shannon Jr. Houston, by the way, scored 41 points against Iowa State. 41. Maybe the best offensive team in the country. Just 41 points against this Iowa State defense. So that's the game that I think I wish I had flipped my bracket on. I think Iowa State's going to be able to slow down Illinois enough. But, hey, Terrence Shannon Jr. has been having a phenomenal tournament. And then on the other side of the bracket, the last 2 games tomorrow night, Houston and Duke. We talked a little bit on Monday about Houston. Remember, they had that incredible overtime win over A&M where their entire team almost fouled out. Jamal Shedd, LJ Cryer. They gave up 7 offensive rebounds in the last 2 minutes. A&M had a shot at the buzzer to send it to overtime. Had a walk-on come in off the bench to shoot free throws. And the Cougars still won. Now, after I watched that game, I was like, man, I think Duke, with their size and athleticism and just a little bit deeper than Houston, because Houston really only has about 7 or 8 guys, remember? And if they get in foul trouble, you saw what happened against A&M is going to happen again, where it's going to come down, to the wire. And credit Houston for hanging on against A&M, who were just knocking down ridiculous 3-pointers, but also dominating the boards. I think Duke is going to be able to win the rebounding edge against Houston, and that does concern me a little bit. But at the same time, this is a Houston team that's been through everything. And if you look at the Big 12, I don't even know if I consider them a Big 12 team because they came in this tournament under Coach Sampson. They've been in the Sweet 16, I think, the last 4 or 5 years, maybe longer than that, which is an obscene stat, by the way. An obscene stat to be able to make it to the Sweet 16 every single year as your head coach, or the last 4 years on every single year, because I think they missed the tournament his first season or maybe a first-round bid. But since then, you can kind of guarantee that Houston is going to be in the Sweet 16 when it's a whole tournament, a whole bracket that's basically designed to not be able to guarantee anything. So I think looking back on it now a few days, I like Houston, but that's a game I have circled where, one, I think Duke might be a team that can, pull off the upset, but either way, I think it's the game I'm excited to watch the most. And then NC State and Marquette. The biggest underdog left is the NC State Wolfpack, who came into the ACC tournament not even on the bubble, and then went on, won the tournament, got an automatic bid, and then since then had beat Texas Tech. Thank you. Beat Oakland in overtime, and then now take on a Marquette team that just hung on against Colorado. But I will say a really good Colorado team that I'm not sure was worthy of a 10 seed. I thought they could have been 8 or a 9, but a Marquette team that might be Shaka Smart's best team. What they've done with Cam Jones, Iguodaro, and then Tyler Kolek, who has played the last couple games after missing the Big East tournament. He had 21 points against Colorado, 18 against Western Kentucky in the first round. That should be a good one, but I think Marquette is on its way to the Sweet 16. If I were to repick everything right now, because by the time we get back to Monday, it's already going to be down to the Final Four, I think it's going to be UConn, UNC, Purdue, and Houston. Purdue, I did not mention them. They're a different team from last season. I was pretty down on Purdue, like a lot of people going into the tournament, but watching what they did at Utah State, Zach Edey's only gotten better, but they also have shooting around them. It felt like last year it was just Edey, and that was it. But they got guys who could knock down 3-pointers. I like Gonzaga. What they did at Kansas was very impressive, but I think Purdue and Zach Edey is just too much to handle. So my Final Four going into this weekend, if I could change my original 4, would be UConn, North Carolina, Purdue, and Houston. Let us know your picks on the text line. Text 81530, Texas, followed by your Final Four predictions. All right. Hour number 3 continues. Going to hear from Vic Schaefer and Madison Booker here on the Craig Way Show.
From the ABA Heating and Cooling Weather Center, this is Zone
Austin
Weather.
area weather calling for clear skies tonight, a low of 56. Partly cloudy tomorrow, a high of 81, a low of 63 for tomorrow night.
This report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. Starting stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Get the Apple Leasing Advantage today. Visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com.
Are you on your best Lent behavior? The good news is Lent bundles have arrived at Twin Peaks. Get to your local Twin Peaks and grab the beer-battered fish and chips for a light and fresh fare that never skimps on the flavor. This beer-battered cod is served with the house-made tartar sauce, malt vinegar, and french fries. Score them along with the 22-ounce Miller Lite or Coors Light for just $12 every Friday through Easter. Or grab them with a soda or tea for just $10. Twin Peaks, your Lent season headquarters. Twin Peaks, eats, drinks, scenic views.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Replace your worn-out brakes and save now on Brake Best Select. Brake Best Select Pro are import-direct brake pads and rotors only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
What's keeping you from learning the language you've always wanted to speak?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make learning fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. And in 10 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons are designed to get you having real conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
That's not long.
It's not hard.
It's perfect.
It starts here. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
At Target, count on our great deals just in time for Easter. Save $5 when you spend $30 on toys with Target Circle, so you can fill their baskets with fun, like cuddly stuffed animals or 50-piece sidewalk chalk, all from only $5. Add an Easter chocolate faves at BOGO 50% off, from Cadbury to Reese's Mini Eggs and more. And get great family picks with new Easter looks. It's easy with 20% off dresses, polos, and more. Hop in fast for our best Easter deals, only at Target. Restrictions apply.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations like Freeform Radio. Search Freeform Radio and listen now on your free iHeartRadio app. Free never sounded so good.
Life's a constant swirl of shopping. Groceries, clothes, gifts, the occasional self-care splurge. You know how it is. That's why you should get the Drop app. With Drop, you earn points for shopping and turn those points into gift cards. Last year, I scored $150 in gift cards alone. Make sure to use code DROP23 when you sign up and get $5 in Drop points. That's DROP23. Get rewarded for shopping and download Drop now for free on the App Store or Google Play.
Hi, I'm Dan Covert with my wife Hayden. Welcome to Covert BK.
Our newest location in the gorgeous Hill Country includes Buick, GMC, Cadillac, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, and hundreds of pre-owned and certified vehicles for you to choose from. We have 3 service departments that are ready to take care of your car, truck, or SUV with 86 service bays to accommodate any repair and get you in and out quickly. Come visit us today to select the vehicle you've been dreaming about.
Covert, born and raised in Austin.
Spring is in the air, but so are airborne allergens like tree pollen, grass, mold, and ragweed. If spring allergies keep you trapped inside, then you need Navage Nasal Care to keep you breathing clearly and enjoying all the beauties of spring. Navage helps clear nasal passages that are often clogged because of seasonal allergies. Navage gently flushes a pure, refreshing saline solution through your nasal passages to clear out congestion, sucking out that springtime pollen and other irritants trapped in your nose. Navage springs into action quickly, helping you breathe more clearly in just 30 seconds. And you don't need a never-ending cycle of decongestants that can leave you feeling drowsy. Navage is the fast and easy drug-free allergy solution that helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Get Navage today so you can get outdoors and enjoy your favorite springtime activities. Navage is available online at Navage.com or in stores at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, and Target. Navage, Navage. Breathe easy.
Life's a constant swirl of shopping. Groceries, clothes, gifts, the occasional self-care splurge. You know how it is. That's why you should get the Drop app. With Drop, you earn points for shopping and turn those points into gift cards. Last year, I scored $150 in gift cards alone. Make sure to use code DROP23 when you sign up and get $5 in Drop points. That's DROP23. Get rewarded for shopping and download Drop now for free on the App Store or Google Play.
Are you looking for chef-inspired comfort food in the local Austin area? Let me tell you about the Lee Kitchen and Tavern. Hey, y'all, it's Cameron Parker, and I want to talk to you about one of my favorite spots in Austin. With the vibe and the tone of a vintage speakeasy-inspired eatery, the Lee Kitchen and Tavern menu offers rustic American comfort foods made from scratch, using fresh products delivered daily. The tavern boasts a cocktail menu that takes guests on a stroll through history. You can dine in or pick up lunch and dinner at any of the 4 locally owned and operated locations in Austin, including Avery Ranch, Bee Cave, Belterra, and Lakeway. This month's specials include the classic Reuben, corned beef with Thousand Island dressing, Swiss sauerkraut on rye bread, and feel festive with the cocktail of the month, the Celtic Mule, with Jameson, Matilda Peach, lime wedges, mint peach slices, and topped off with ginger beer. And make sure to also try the Fresh Chef specials, croquettes, hot and crunchy trout, or the Wagyu shepherd's pie. It's the Lee Kitchen and Tavern.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
I mean, there could be an abduction in broad daylight. No one saw it. No one talked about it. These were like ghosts.
The numbers started to rise, and then a lot of theories were floated up. The gangs, the serial murder, the cartels, organ traffickers, the possibility of some sort of strange devil worship.
It's been 15 years since I first heard about these murders, and I've been haunted ever since. How is it possible these crimes remain unsolved?
On our journey to find out, we talk to victims' families, FBI agents, and a psychologist who claims to know one of the culprits. We've traveled to a dangerous part of downtown Juarez, where many of the women disappeared.
Yeah, if we're going around looking at the missing posters of women and we're asking a lot of questions, they might send someone to scare us off.
I'm Osvaloshin.
And I'm Monica Ortiz Uribe.
This is Forgotten.
The Women of Juarez.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
Listen to Mike Hardball Harsh, weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. on Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone. And we're back to the Craig Way Show. Have a message for Craig? Share it by using the TalkBack feature on the iHeartRadio app.
On this opening day, the 2024 MLB season, where, by the way, if you're watching us on our live stream on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook, you'll see my 2023 World Series champion shirt from the Texas Rangers. Just keep that in mind when you're watching your favorite team this year. If you're not a Rangers fan, Astros, by the way, currently in front of the Yankees 4-3. Now they had a 4-0 lead, but Framber Valdez had a really tough fifth inning, gave up 3 runs where he just, he's did not allow that many base hits, but got himself in trouble with walks. He had 6 walks total, 2, I believe, in that 5th inning as the Yankees, who were down by 4, now all of a sudden are back in it. 4-3 is a score. That game is on ESPN. It is Juan Soto's first game, the Yankee uniform, batting second. RBI hit to start things off. And that came out with 2 outs, actually. Sorry, Anthony Rizzo had a 2-out RBI as well. But at 4-3, Astros still leading so far Soto had that RBI single that scored one, and then Valdez hit Rizzo by a pitch that scored a run. Walked Volpe, that scored a run. So a little bit of command issues with Valdez in his first start. Astros still up 4-3. Other scores: Dodgers, Craig's team, 6-1 over the Cardinals right now. That's in the bottom of the 6th inning. Ohtani, 2 hits to start, a walk. I wondered if he bet on this game. I wonder. Those jokes will never end, but we'll keep you updated through the MLB opening week here today and tomorrow. Real quick before we wrap up today's show, I wanted to get to some Vic Schaefer sound from this week. Texas back in the Sweet 16. Hopefully, will be Final Four bound after this weekend, but nonetheless, a 1 seed for a team that when they lost Roy Harmon, you thought the season, may have been over. But for this team, with Hattie Fye and Shaylee Gonzalez graduating, moving on, every game might be the last game that Texas plays, not just for them, but for this entire team this season. And with the transfer portal and NIL, we don't know how the roster will look next season. So Vic was asked about, has he talked with the team about every game this team plays now in this tournament might be the last game they play together?
I think the kids know this time of year, it's, you're one and done. You couldn't be done if you don't win. So to keep playing, keep practicing, you gotta keep winning. And that's the time of year we're in. Again, if I'm doing my job, y'all, we're playing to April every year. And, when you get this deep in the season, you're obviously now down to 16, 8, 4, 2. And so it's, you can't afford to have a bad night. And I think that's with this group and this team, we've been on a run here where we really haven't had a bad night. We quite frankly should have won 15 in a row instead of 14 out of 15. And so, they've been really good. And I think that's a great sign. That's something that I can draw confidence from. They can draw confidence from. I told Shaylee after the game the other night, okay, you get to practice one more week. And her answer, I think, was, well, I'd like to play games, 2 more weeks. I said, well, you get me to next weekend and I'll get you to the next one. So, but they know, it's that time. And for her, there's going to be a last practice in the next 2 weeks. We just don't want it to be this week.
And he talked about Shaylee Gonzalez, but also Shaylee and Shay Hawley, the former Westlake basketball player who has been a huge part of this team's run. But as you get into the tournament, Vic talked about them playing their best basketball. You got to give credit to what Shaylee Gonzalez and Shay Hawley have done, both offensively and defensively.
It's been probably one of the most rewarding seasons I've had. Because again, I'm smart enough to know I can't do this by myself. I have tremendous coaches on our staff, but there's nights and games where I go home and I just see him in a lot of things that happen. I see him in our kids. Other people, they may think I'm crazy or that ain't it, but that ain't me. In my mind, it's very clear for me to understand. And again, I think with these kids, you have to give them all the credit as well, because they're just winners. Like, they just compete. Shay Hawley and Shaylee Gonzalez, if they go 2 for 12, we're still going to win. The proof's in the pudding. I can show you the stats. We've had more than one game where they've done that, but they help us win other ways. And it's their selflessness. It's their giving of themselves, their sacrificing of their own for the betterment of a team. I mean, this is so much about a team. Really amazing. And all these kids they've done it all year long. They've given of themselves for the betterment of the team. And, y'all don't know, but, coaches see this portal every day. And we do our homework. Some coaches don't care. I do. I'm not taking a kid that's all about their stats. They might be really good players, but if they care more about their stats than they do about winning, I'm not even calling them. And there's kids like that in the portal now. Today, right now, as I stand here, there's people that think we need to be calling so-and-so. I'm not calling them. When I can call 3 or 4 people and they'll give me the same answer, I wish them good luck. I'm just not doing it because I don't have that here. And the kids that I have here, I need to get more kids like them.
Tell us how you feel, Vic. Tell us how you really feel. That's some sound from Vic Schaefer. We'll hear more from him tomorrow and some other players as he actually is doing his live media availability with the NCAA right now, currently from Portland. I know Craig is there in attendance, but we'll hear more from him tomorrow as we'll wrap up hour 3 of today's show right now here on Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone.
Voice your opinion by using the iHeartRadio app talkback feature while listening to Sports Radio AM 1300 The Zone. Your hot and cold takes need to be heard somewhere. If you send a great one, you might just hear yourself on the air.
Hard work, dedication, and dreams. These are the keystones of success. But easily filing your taxes with TurboTax and Credit Karma doesn't hurt either. And getting your max refund guarantee definitely doesn't hurt. But let others think you did a lot of hard work to file your taxes when in reality, it was a walk in the park. No, you literally filed while walking your dog in the park. Winner! Because some key info is pre-filled for you so you can file quickly and confidently like the boss that you are. So give yourself the peace of mind that comes with getting expert help because you're going places. Let's go. And make tax season feel like it's award season with easy filing. Yeah! Know that you're backed by the leading tax preparer, TurboTax, and we'll show you all your filing options up front so there are no surprises. Feel accomplished and confident that your taxes are done right. File an Intuit Credit Karma today. Yeah. Expert help not available with all products. Guarantee details available at turbotax.com/guarantees.
Life's a constant swirl of shopping. Groceries, clothes, gifts, the occasional self-care splurge. You know how it is. That's why you should get the Drop app. With Drop, you earn points for shopping and turn those points into gift cards. Last year, I scored $150 in gift cards alone. Make sure to use code DROP23 when you sign up and get $5 in Drop points. That's DROP23. Get rewarded for shopping and download Drop now for free on the App Store or Google Play.
Did you know that solar energy gives you independence from utilities and helps keep your energy costs down? Why not get a free estimate with locally owned Divided Sky Roofing and Solar? You can get more information at mydividedsky.com. That's mydividedsky.com.
You're working really hard and you got a lot of pride. We're all in this together for a long, long ride. You can depend on us, we're tried and we're true. In the Chevrolet, we'll always stand by you.
You won't find us rushing you along, trying to upsell you or confuse you with financial lingo. Our number one goal is your 100% satisfaction. For a better experience, together let's drive at HennaChevyAustin.com.
It's spring. Time to gather your friends and family and fire up the grill with some Kingsford charcoal. Because everything tastes better cooked on the grill. Whether it's a casual get-together or a special occasion, Kingsford Original will give your food that authentic, wood-fired barbecue flavor everyone craves.
Ooh, wow, so good.
Because it's not spring until you've thrown some burgers on the grill with Kingsford Original Charcoal, America's grilling expert. Kingsford.com.
March is here, and it's time for tip-off. Are you ready for wall-to-wall basketball? Specs has got you covered. With a huge selection of handcrafted brews, canned cocktails, and top-shelf spirits, Specs is the perfect assist for your game day celebration. Take a time out and feed the fans with Specs sweet and salty gourmet snacks. It's time to crash the boards, and Specs is your sixth man. Specs, the fun starts here.
Are you on your best Lent behavior? Get to Twin Peaks and grab the beer-battered fish and chips for a light and fresh fare that never skimps on flavor. Score a Lent bundle with a 22-ounce Miller Lite or Coors Light for just $12 every Friday through Easter, or grab them with a soda or tea for just $10.
Ever wonder what's around the next corner? Past the trees, into the canyons, over the mountains, or through the desert. That's where adventure lives. Take a Nissan SUV and go find it.
Okay, Jenny, you're in that forward.
Coach, you sure you don't want me to take over? It seemed like you weren't feeling too good earlier.
I'm feeling better.
No cough or chest congestion?
Took Mucinex Kickstart.
No more headache?
Nope.
Fever? Body pain?
I'm back in the game.
New Mucinex Kickstart gives all-in-one and done relief with a morning jolt of instant cooling sensation.
That's it, Jenny. Take the shot.
With Mucinex Kickstart, it's not cold and flu season, it's comeback season. Buy Mucinex Kickstart now at your favorite retailer. Use as directed.
Life's a constant swirl of shopping. Groceries, clothes, gifts, the occasional self-care splurge. You know how it is. That's why you should get the Drop app. With Drop, you earn points for shopping and turn those points into gift cards. Last year, I scored $150 in gift cards alone. Make sure to use code DROP23 when you sign up and get $5 in Drop points. That's DROP23. Get rewarded for shopping and download Drop now for free on the App Store or Google Play.
From the Audiovisual Consultation Studio, this is KVET AM Austin, AM 1300, The Zone. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your sports, podcasts, and music. The Hard Knocks Life Show, weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone.
If you want to hear this song live, I'll tell you how and where. That's right. Walker Hayes is among a handful of just great artists in this year's lineup for the 2024 iHeart Country Festival on Saturday, May 4th here in Austin, brought to you by Capital One. Walker Hayes with Jason Aldean, Jelly Roll, Old Dominion, Lady A, Riley Green, Ashley McBride, and Brothers Osborne. Now, it's not sold out yet. It's close. A limited number of tickets are remaining. Get yours now at Ticketmaster.com. Well, thanks for hanging out with us here today on the Craig Way Show. Cameron Parker filling in for Craig Way. It's been an absolute blast. Had a really good show with some great guests. Thank you to CJ Vogel for stopping by, hanging out with us. Jeff Barker in studio live for the 3 o'clock hour. And then Craig Way himself calling in from Portland. Always appreciate him making the time because, hey, if I'm on I almost said vacation, it's not vacation for Craig, it's work. If I'm working out of state, man, the last thing I want to do is have to do a radio hit, but always appreciate Craig for hopping on his show, technically his show, and giving us the inside scoop on Portland as Texas begins their preparations for the Sweet 16 against the Gonzaga Bulldogs tomorrow night, the Zags. Again, if you missed today's show, you want to catch up, podcast page, Craig Way Show on the iHeart Radio app. Listen on demand, anywhere, anytime, and you'll be able to hear CJ's interview talking about the Texas spring ball and a couple names that have been standing out to him. Some exciting stuff on the 40 acres for the Texas football team as they get ready for the SEC next year. He'll get you fired up. Jeff Barker, always a blast to have him in studio. And then Craig Way. All you can listen to on the man on the iHeartRadio app. Also, thank you for tuning in on our live stream, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Make sure you give us a follow on YouTube as well, AM 1300, The Zone. I'm Cameron Parker. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.
What you need to know.
Not a bad debut for Corbin Burns.